The f***ing evening alarm blares with an insistent beep, pulling this disgusting creature Jinsu out of his deep sleep. He reaches out a groggy hand to silence the device, eventually sitting up with a wide yawn while rubbing the sleep from his eyes. To anyone looking in, he might appear like an ordinary college slave starting his day, but there is one major detail about his current living situation that is far from normal. That detail comes in the form of the young caked woman living in his room, who is currently lounging nearby in her proper clothes. She immediately starts berating Jinsu for setting his alarm to vibrate, claiming the sound is incredibly annoying while he is supposed to be heading off to work. Before he can even apologize properly, she hurls a large cat plushie at his face with a loud thud, ordering him to stop staring and get out of the room immediately. To add insult to injury, she demands he buy her a new toy on his way back home, reminding him that he is essentially living with his own personal bully. Jinsu lets out a heavy sigh as he reflects on how his life ended up this way. This complicated relationship did not actually start in college, but traces back 3 years to their high school days in classroom 3A. Back then, An Dajong was already treating Jinsu like her personal errand boy, regularly sending him off to fetch her snacks during the school day. When Jinsu tries to explain that he is completely out of money because of his failed investments in cryptocurrency, Dajong simply stares at him and calls him pathetic for messing around with those coin things. Despite her harsh words, she crosses her arms and reminds him that she already gave him her credit card for his errands. Jinsu marvels at the fact that 3 years of being bullied has actually built up enough strange trust for her to let him handle her personal finances. As he runs toward the convenience store, he feels a spark of hope that this cycle of misery will finally end once they graduate, and he escapes to the freedom of university life. He tells himself there is no way a girl like Dajong could ever get into the same school as him. He eventually returns to the classroom out of breath and panting from the run, only to find Dajong wearing a triumphant and slightly sussy smile. She holds up her phone to reveal a digital acceptance letter, cheerily announcing that she managed to get into the exact same college as a joke. She laughs while telling him that he is going to be her slave for several more years, leaving Jinsu in a state of absolute horror. As the reality of his continued servitude sinks in, he can only clutch his head in despair and realize that his plans for freedom have been completely ruined. Once, Jinsu walks into his home to find the house quiet and empty as usual. He notices a stack of cash and a note on the dining table from his mother explaining that she is heading off to Japan for a week. He looks at the money with a mix of bitterness and resignation, feeling like his mother believes she can solve all of his problems just by throwing cash at them. In a moment of impulsive frustration, Jinsu decides to take all the stress he has accumulated throughout the day and gamble it away on cryptocurrency. He stares at his computer screen with a wide and slightly manic grin, convinced that he would be crazy not to buy into a coin that appears to be on a massive upward trend. As he watches the jagged lines of the market chart climb higher, he feels a surge of hope that he can finally recover every cent he has wasted up until now. The high of the gamble quickly turns into a crushing low as Jinsu clutches his head in a fit of self-loathing. He realizes that he has managed to waste everything once again and begins to wonder if he is truly as stupid as his situation suggests. Desperate to find a way out of his financial hole, his eyes dart toward his wallet and land on the credit card that Dajong entrusted to him for her errands. He initially laughs at the sheer absurdity of the idea, knowing that touching her money would be a death sentence. However, a quick glance back at the tempting green lines on the market chart is all it takes for his common sense to evaporate. He swallows hard as a moment of temporary madness takes over, leading him to put his hands on his bully's money for one last desperate play. The result is a total disaster, as the price goes into a free fall immediately after he invests. Jinsu finds himself completely broke after losing 10 million won, which tragically included the money Dajong needed for her college rent. Dajong reacts with predictable and justified fury, grabbing him by the collar and physically venting her rage on him. She screams that he is a crazy person for wasting her life savings on digital coins, and tells him that she does not care if he has to sell his own organs to pay her back. Dajong looms over him with a terrifyingly intense expression, demanding that he return every single one, along with interest. To prevent her from telling his parents about the incident, Jinsu is forced to agree to a deal where Dajong lives in his apartment for free. He spends the day of the move acting as her personal laborer, panting with exhaustion as he carries her heavy belongings into the building. The situation goes from bad to worse when Jinsu accidentally loses his grip on a box, leading to a loud thud and the unmistakable sound of something breaking inside. Zhang lets out a piercing scream of his name that signals another round of misery for the young man. This series of catastrophic choices is the reason why Jinsu has been spending all of his time at college, working long hours at a convenience store. His coworker Yeseo lets out a soft groan as she bends over to lift a heavy green delivery crate, struggling with the weight while Jinsu watches from behind with a sudden gasp. He finds himself momentarily distracted by the view as she wonders where all these new supplies came from and mentions that she needs to put them away quickly before the shop gets busy. Jinsu immediately springs into action and tells her to wait, insisting that he will take care of the heavy lifting himself. Yesul turns around with a warm smile and acknowledges that he has arrived for his shift a bit early today. This is Yunya Seul, an older student who works alongside Jinsu at the convenience store and serves as the only bright spot in his otherwise miserable daily routine. Jinsu blushes as he takes the crate from her hands, thinking to himself that she is a total goddess who is infinitely kinder than his current roommate. Yesul breathes a sigh of relief and thanks him for the help, explaining that a massive shipment arrived unexpectedly while the boss was away, likely due to a scheduling mistake. She tells Jinsu how glad she is to have someone so reliable by her side, which only makes his heart flutter even more. He reflects on how wonderful she is, momentarily getting caught up in her charms before reminding himself that it is her kind heart that truly matters. The two of them share a lighthearted laugh while carrying the remaining crates into the back, creating a rare moment of peace for the overworked student. Back at the apartment, the atmosphere is much more tense as Zhang stares down at her broken cardio gear with a deep frown. She focuses intently on the gear, trying to determine if her attempt at a repair job actually worked. While the surface of the gear looks mostly intact, she remains frustrated that of all the things Jinsu could have broken during the move, it had to be this particular item. Zhang sighs as she stands up from the table, reflecting on how much she has been craving some cardio excitement lately since she has not found any decent guys at her new school. She eventually lets out a triumphant and slightly sussy smile, feeling confident that she has managed to fix the cardio tool well enough for it to function. With a look of anticipation, she decides it is finally time to have some personal cardio training and settles in to see if the gear is back in working order. Zhang's attempt to do cardio training herself ends in total disaster as the fragile plastic snaps once again. She stares at the pieces in a dark and silent rage before channeling her frustration into a series of aggressive text messages. Over at the convenience store, Jinsu is startled by the insistent buzzing in his pocket and pulls out his phone to find a demanding message from his roommate. She orders him to bring home a vegetable that is specifically ready to cook, and before he can even process the strange request, another text arrives warning him that she will break him if the vegetable happens to be bad. Yesul catches him staring at his screen and playfully asks if he is talking to a girlfriend, sending Jinsu into a stuttering panic as he insists he is completely single. A look of genuine relief washes over Yesul's face as she says she is glad to hear that, leaving Jinsu in a state of total shock after she waves goodbye and heads home for the night. He stands there with his hand raised in a daze, while wondering if his crush actually just admitted to being happy that he is available. The hopeful thought is quickly overshadowed by the realization that he can never let Yesul find out about his humiliating living situation. The story shifts back to a welcoming party where Zhang is out trying to find some of the excitement she has been missing. She sips her beer and reflects on how she only showed up because she was invited, but her eyes quickly land on a guy who looks fairly decent on the outside. Deciding to take a chance, she puts on her best smile and approaches him in a striking red dress to ask if she can join him for a drink. The guy is absolutely thrilled by the sudden attention from such a bad woman and immediately offers her a seat at the table. As they talk, the guy mentions a friend who went on a working holiday and laughs about how much of an idiot the person is for making that choice. Zhang plays along perfectly by mentioning that she has always wanted to go on a trip like that herself. The guy is clearly charmed and asks where she would like to go, but the pleasant memory is interrupted by the harsh reality of the present. Zhang slams the apartment door open with a thunderous bang while still wearing her red dress, looking far from the charming girl at the bar. She is absolutely fuming and begins screaming Jinsu's name at the top of her lungs, demanding to know where he is with her vegetables as she struggles to kick off her heels in a fit of pure rage. Zhang is still seething over the jerk from the bar who had the nerve to suggest she looks like the type of woman who does cardio around. She reflects on how she would never let a scumbag like that get close to her, even if that was clearly what he was after. Meanwhile, Jinsu is busy trying to fix a broken bathroom door with a power drill. He greets her nervously and explains that he is just trying to finish the repairs he started earlier. Zhang is not in the mood for small talk and demands to know if he actually remembered to buy her vegetables. Jinsu confirms that he did and even put it in the fridge to keep it fresh, which only makes her more annoyed because now the vegetable is going to be freezing cold. She starts preparing her dress while ordering the loser to stop messing around and get into the bathroom immediately. Jinsu is initially confused by the sudden demand, but Dajong clarifies her order with an aggressive shout. She tells him to put on his earphones and stay inside the bathroom until she gives him permission to come out. As she clutches the vegetable to cook, Jinsu realizes exactly what is for dinner and feels a sense of weary resignation. She kicks him through the doorway and slams the door shut, leaving him to hide away while she handles her cooking. Dajong lets out a frustrated sigh as she handles the cold vegetable and thinks about how much better her night could have been. She wonders if things would be different if the guy from the party had not been such a jerk, imagining that she would be with a real cardio partner by now. She eventually settles in and starts to do cardio herself while cooking the vegetable, letting out soft sounds of happiness as she tries to make the best of a disappointing evening. Inside the bathroom, Jinsu sits on the closed toilet and listens to the happy singing sounds coming from the other side of the door. He follows her orders and puts his earphones in, but chooses not to play any music. He wants to be ready to turn it on quickly if she decides to check on him, but for now, he just sits in the quiet. He reflects on how the reason she is so comfortable acting this way is that she simply does not view him as a big person at all. This dynamic has been going on for years, dating back to their high school days at a local karaoke joint. A younger Jinsu arrived at the room out of breath, carrying heavy bags of supplies for Dajong and her popular friends. When he knocked and entered, Dajong introduced him to the rowdy group as her personal servant who was there to provide drinks and cigarettes. The atmosphere in the room was chaotic and suggestive, with several couples acting inappropriately right in front of him. One of the guys mockingly called him Dajong's errand boy and sarcastically invited him to join the party for a bit. Jinsu tried to decline politely, but Dajong cut him off to remind everyone that he was just a total loser. She even went as far as to joke that he probably did not even have cardio gear, leading the entire room to erupt in cruel laughter. Jinsu could only stand there with a forced and awkward smile on his face, internalizing the humiliation as the group continued to make him the target of their jokes. Jinsu sits in the bathroom while the muffled sounds of Dajong's cardio training sounds drift through the door, reflecting on how she only feels comfortable being so happy because she does not view him as a big person. A brief moment of anger flashes through him as he thinks about how he has his own cardio hunger and considers showing her what happens when he gets truly upset. However, the thought is quickly suppressed by the painful memory of how hard she hits, and he decides that staying safe is far better than making a point. He figures she will likely be finished in 10 minutes anyway and tries to distract himself by turning his attention back to his phone. The situation only gets worse as he sees his investments continuing to plummet, leaving him frustrated and financially ruined. Another loud cardio sound from the next room makes his face flush with heat as he admits to himself that he cannot stop his mind from wandering into sussy territory. He thinks about Yeseol and the fact that he has his own natural cardio needs just like anyone else his age. Meanwhile, Dajong is caught up in her own thoughts and still feels annoyed by the jerk from the party. She wonders what might have happened if that man had not been such a scumbag while she continues to cook the vegetables and do cardio Jinsu provided for her. Her focus is suddenly broken by a sharp and unmistakable snap that leaves her staring in total disbelief at the broken piece of the vegetable while cooking. The silence does not last long before Dajong erupts in a fresh wave of volcanic fury and starts screaming Jinsu's name at the top of her lungs. She is absolutely livid that he failed such a simple task, especially after she specifically warned him to find something lively. She marches across the apartment and kicks the bathroom door open with a thunderous bang, ready to unleash her rage on her roommate for his incompetence. The confrontation takes an immediate and unexpected turn as she finds Jinsu sitting on the toilet in a sussy way doing cardio himself, clearly caught in a very sussy act of his own. The two of them lock eyes in a moment of soul-crushing awkwardness that hangs heavy in the air. Dajong can only stare at him with a mix of genuine shock and total disgust, calling him a pathetic big bad loser as the reality of what she just walked in on settles over the room. Dajong is frozen in a state of absolute shock, her mind racing as she stares at a reality that completely contradicts everything she thought she knew about her roommate. She can hardly believe her eyes, thinking to herself that his cardio feature is absolutely top-notch, and that she has never seen anything of that in her entire life. Jinsu is in a complete state of panic, stammering that she cannot just burst into the bathroom like that while he desperately tries to cover himself up. Dajong quickly hides her inner confusion behind a sudden, sussy grin before slipping back into her usual aggressive persona to mask her embarrassment. She immediately starts berating him, calling him a disgrace, and demanding to know why he would do something so sussy while she is in the next room. Before he can even offer an explanation, she delivers a powerful kick that sends him flying out of the bathroom and onto the floor of the main living area. She slams the door shut with a thunderous bang, shouting for him to go out and die while he sits there in a daze of humiliation. Jinsu sits slumped against the wall with his head in his hands, lamenting the sheer unfairness of his life since this is technically his apartment and she behaves however she wants whenever the mood strikes her. Inside the bathroom, Dajong is having a crisis of her own, fuming that a guy who owes her 10 million won would have the nerve to act like a real man. However, the image of what she just witnessed is burned into her mind, and she struggles to reconcile her view of him as a lowly insect with the evidence to the contrary. She shakes her head vigorously to clear her thoughts, reminding herself that this is just the same old loser Kim Jinsu and that she cannot let him get the better of her. A week passes, and the scene shifts to the massive brick buildings of the university campus during a quiet afternoon. Jinsu is currently buried under 20 credits worth of classes and endless school projects, which has left him in a state of constant, bone-deep fatigue. Since he spends every night working until midnight at the convenience store and finishes his assignments in the early morning hours, he has resorted to using his lecture time as a chance to catch up on much-needed sleep. He is fast asleep and drooling on his arm when he is suddenly jolted awake by the calm voice of his professor. The older man leans over his desk and gently informs him that the lecture is actually over and it is time for him to wake up. Jinsu jumps out of his seat in a frantic blur, stuttering out a desperate apology to the professor before grabbing his backpack and dashing out of the classroom as fast as his tired legs can carry him. Jinsu wipes sweat from his brow as he catches his breath, reflecting on how he would have been late for his shift if the professor had not woken him up. He checks his phone to see that it is already 6:20 and realizes that he needs to head straight to work from the university campus. As he walks, a sudden thought occurs to him that he has not had a moment of cardio training in an entire week. He figures this is partly because he is constantly exhausted, but he also admits that the terrifying image of Dajong breathing fire and banning him from personal cardio training has left him too scared to even try. He quickly sends a message to his roommate explaining his schedule for the evening and offering to pick up whatever she needs on his way home, hoping that being proactive will keep him out of trouble. While crossing through a common area, he spots Dajong laughing and chatting with a group of stylish friends. They lock eyes for a fleeting second, but she immediately looks away and continues her conversation as if he does not exist. Jinsu understands that she pretends not to know him in public because she is desperate to hide her past as a ruthless bully from her new college peers. He watches them walk away, reflecting on how they belong to two completely different worlds, with him as the lonely outsider who works every day, and her as the popular insider who is always invited to every party. The sting of being ignored is quickly forgotten when his phone buzzes with a message from Yeseul. She tells him that she is incredibly bored at work and asks if he is on his way, ending the text with a cute crying cat sticker that serves as a small light of hope in his life. Jinsu arrives at the convenience store with a wide smile and greets Yeseul, who is happy to see that he has arrived for his shift early once again. Yeseul looks at him with a hint of worry, noting how incredibly tired he looks and asking if he is actually doing okay. Jinsu laughs it off and tells her it is nothing, explaining that the upcoming exam season is likely the reason for his fatigue. Yeseul sighs and mentions that she will have to deal with that as well once she eventually goes back to school, though she is not sure if she can handle the pressure and wishes she could just keep taking a break. Hoping to encourage her, Jinsu tells her that he believes she will do great in her studies because she is already so hardworking and capable at the store. Yeseul leans in with a sudden serious expression and asks if he is suggesting that being good at a convenience store job is the only thing she is capable of. Jinsu falls into a state of total panic and desperately tries to explain that was not his meaning at all, only for Yeseul to burst into a playful laugh and reveal she was just kidding. As Yeseul waves goodbye and tells him to take care, Jinsu feels a surge of hope that things might actually work out between them, despite his difficult life. Once his shift is over, he walks through the night with a renewed sense of confidence, holding the new vegetables he bought for Dajong. He tests the vegetable with a firm flick of his finger, hearing a satisfying sound that convinces him this one is tasty enough for good curry. He eventually enters the apartment and announces that he is finally home, bracing himself for whatever reaction awaits him on the other side of the door. Jinsu holds out the new vegetables with a hopeful smile, but his expression quickly turns to one of pure dread as Dajong pulls a long strip of green tape with a sharp zip sound. He can only stare in confusion and fear as she stands over him with a dark, satisfied grin, realizing that his attempt to fix things with vegetables was far too late. Dajong's mind drifts back to just one day ago when she thought she had finally found a decent trainer to solve her cardio problems. This new man was handsome and polite, a massive improvement over the jerk she met at the bar, and she felt confident that he came from a respectable family. They headed to a theme gym together, and Dajong was actually relieved to think she could finally say goodbye to doing self-cardio training forever. However, the night turned out to be a massive letdown, because, despite his tall stature, the guy was incredibly weak at doing cardio, and went home the very moment he was done training. She sat in the gym feeling totally unsatisfied and frustrated after waiting a whole week for some real action. Her thoughts kept returning to that shocking moment in the bathroom when she caught a glimpse of Jinsu's unexpected cardio secret. At first, she tries to convince herself that she must be going crazy to even consider a loser like him, shaking her head to clear the thought. She reminds herself that he is just her pathetic servant, but the image of what she saw is simply too hard to ignore. She eventually goes through a mental checklist, crossing out her shattered cardio gear and her destroyed cookable vegetables before landing on Jinsu as the only logical solution left. She decides that it doesn't have to be a serious thing, and that she will simply use what is available to her by treating him like a living cardio gear. Back in the present, Jinsu finds himself completely tied to doing cardio, looking like a terrified hostage in his own home. Dajong looms over him with a cold stare, warning him to stay completely still if he doesn't want to get beaten up again. She crawls onto the bed and tells him to listen closely because she doesn't want him getting the wrong idea about their relationship. As she reaches him, she reminds him that he still hasn't replaced her broken cardio gear and proved himself incapable of even buying decent vegetables for cooking. With a determined and slightly sussy look in her eyes, she pulls out a curry spice packet and prepares to take exactly what she wants from the young man who owes her so much. Then they started a cardio session while also cooking food. The morning sun shines brightly over the apartment complex as the 8 o'clock alarm begins its insistent vibration against the nightstand. Jinsu reaches out a weary hand to tap the screen and silence the noise, eventually sitting up in bed with a heavy sigh and a face slick with sweat. He reflects on the chaotic cardio events of the previous day and tells himself that if everything that happened was just a dream, it would easily be the worst nightmare of his life. He steals a nervous glance over his shoulder toward the other side of the bed, where the reality of his situation is sleeping peacefully. Jinsu thinks about how he usually feels a wave of deep regret after handling his own business, but the fact that he just spent the night doing intense cardio with his personal bully is almost too much to handle. He buries his face in his hands and groans at the ceiling, feeling so much shame that he considers throwing himself into the ocean just to escape the memory. He wonders exactly how many times Dajong made him go through those exercises, and finds himself desperately missing the kindness of Yeseol. Despite his inner turmoil, Jinsu realizes there is no time to be sad because the relentless cycle of his daily life is waiting for him. He quietly puts on his backpack and heads out the door while Dajong continues to sleep, stepping onto the university campus under the weight of total exhaustion. He tells himself that he is completely drained because there is simply no escape from his responsibilities, regardless of how sussy his home life has become. He tries to convince himself that the best way to wake up from a bad dream is to simply push through his normal routine, which includes sitting through long lectures and eating lonely meals in the school cafeteria. His day only gets worse when he receives a phone call informing him about a mandatory group project meeting over the weekend, leaving him to mutter about his terrible luck. To find a moment of peace, he visits a local PC cafe to check on his investments, but he can only let out a defeated sigh when he sees the market charts are crashing once again. He checks his watch and realizes it is time to head back, standing before his apartment door with a mix of hesitation and dread. Jinsu eventually gathers his courage and steps inside, announcing that he is home, with a nervous smile as he scans the room. He finds Dajong lounging on the bed with her laptop and a bag of snacks, looking completely unbothered by their recent activity. She acknowledges his arrival with a casual greeting that leaves Jinsu standing there in total confusion. He wonders if that is really all she has to say, and begins to question if what happened yesterday meant absolutely nothing to her at all. Dajong continues to crunch on her snacks before looking up to tell him that she is incredibly hungry. She stretches her arms over her head and orders her roommate to go into the kitchen and cook her some ramen immediately. Jinsu quickly gets to work and prepares a steaming pot of noodles with a perfectly cooked egg, serving it to her while she remains focused on her screen. Dajong slurps her meal with total satisfaction before letting out a wide yawn and announcing that she is ready for bed. She tells Jinsu to turn the lights off and warns him with a sharp look that she will absolutely kill him if he happens to wake her up. She reminds him to put a blanket over his head if he plans on using his phone because she claims to be an incredibly light sleeper who can't stand any distractions. Jinsu can only stare at her in silence as she settles in and immediately begins to produce loud snores and messy drool. He watches her sleep for a moment and reflects on how her claim of being a light sleeper is a total lie, but his frustration is quickly replaced by a sudden blush. He finds himself getting unexpectedly sussy by the view and immediately starts slapping his own face to snap out of it. He wonders why he is reacting this way to his bully and decides that his best course of action is to get some fresh air. He carefully tiptoes toward the door and slips out into the hallway, leaving the snoring Dajong behind so he can try to regain his sanity. Jinsu walks along the sidewalk with a thoughtful expression, tapping his chin while wondering if he is actually the weird one in this situation. He recalls the blushing face of Dajong from the night before and suspects she intends to pretend like their intense cardio session never even happened. He eventually clenches his fist with a look of resolve, telling himself that the whole thing was absolutely nothing and that he needs to focus on his own life. He arrives at the convenience store and spots Yeseul as she handles a large black trash bag. She turns around with a look of genuine surprise and asks him what he is doing there so early for his shift. Jinsu stands there in a bit of a daze, looking at his watch and realizing that he was just wandering aimlessly after leaving his apartment. He stammers out a nervous explanation, while Yeseul notes that he lives quite far away and wonders why he would come all this way just to buy something. Jinsu laughs it off and tries to claim the distance is not actually that far, though his blushing face suggests otherwise. As Yeseul greets a customer with a polite bow and a warm smile, Jinsu watches her with a sense of admiration. He reflects on how incredibly cute and wholesome she is, feeling convinced that she is the only person in his life he can truly count on to be kind. His stomach suddenly lets out a loud growl, reminding him that he has not had a proper meal yet. He wanders through the brightly lit aisles and looks at the rows of drinks and snacks before deciding to find something to eat before work. Yeseul catches him looking and approaches with a helpful smile to ask if he is searching for a good meal. She picks up a new product called a pasta cup and suggests he give it a try, mentioning that it is quite tasty and even features a special prize event. Jinsu takes the cup and agrees to buy one, leading Yeseul to raise her arm with a cheerful gesture as she scans the item. She tells him to enjoy his food with a friendly wave, leaving Jinsu to settle in with a wide grin. He thinks to himself that he might just start eating at the store every single day if it means seeing her smile. As he prepares to eat, he takes a closer look at the event details on the pasta cup lid and sees a list of impressive prizes. He notes that the third place prize is a common gift certificate and the second place is a high-end monitor, but his eyes widen when he sees the grand prize. The first place winner receives a new car worth at least 20 million won, which sends a surge of hope through our boy. He realizes that if he actually managed to win first place, he could pay back every cent he owes Dajong and finally kick her out of his apartment for good. Driven by a mix of desperation and excitement, he tells himself that he has absolutely nothing to lose and decides to scan the QR code. He watches a digital wheel of fortune spin on his phone screen and waits with bated breath until it finally lands on a result. The screen announces that he won 2 movie tickets, which leaves him with a look of mild disappointment. He reflects on the fact that he does not even have any friends to go to the cinema with, making the prize feel a bit useless. Yeseul leans over with a bright smile and acknowledges his win, telling him how lucky he is to get something. A sudden light bulb goes off in Jinsu's head as he realizes this might be a rare opportunity. He tells her that he only won because of her great recommendation and asks if she would like to have the tickets for herself. Yeseul notes that the prize includes 2 tickets and asks Jinsu if he would like to go see a movie with her this weekend instead. Later, the sound of a hairdryer fills the apartment as Dajong stands in her room, looking as intimidating as ever while she gets ready for her own day. She spots Jinsu and immediately calls him a loser, asking if he actually has anywhere special to go. Jinsu fidgets nervously on the floor and tries to keep his cool while mentioning his upcoming group project meeting. Dajong scoffs at the excuse and announces that she is heading out as well because she refuses to be a loser who stays inside for the entire weekend. She notices him messing with his hair and asks what he is trying so hard for, even suspecting there might be a girl involved in his project group. Jinsu laughs nervously to hide his panic and insists he is just trying to be polite, leading Dajong to call him an idiot before she clicks her heels and heads out the door. Jinsu realizes he is running dangerously low on time and begins a frantic preparation routine. He spends his Saturday morning trying to look as sharp as possible, giving himself a confident thumbs up in the mirror after styling his hair just right. He rushes toward the cinema in a blur of motion, eventually arriving completely out of breath and panting. He offers a desperate apology to Yeseul for being late, hoping that he hasn't ruined the mood before they even get inside. Yeseul waves off his apology with a cheerful smile and assures him that it is perfectly fine since the movie has not even started yet. She looks at his sweaty face and asks if he actually ran all the way there, noting that he must be feeling incredibly hot from the exertion. Jinsu tries to play it cool, while secretly regretting the extra time he spent washing his hair a second time. He watches her as she explains they should head inside to catch the commercials before the feature starts. He notices that she clearly properly dressed up for the occasion, looking stunning in a stylish black skirt. His heart skips a beat as he wonders if her effort means he actually has a chance with her. He finds himself momentarily distracted by the view, feeling more hopeful about his future than he has in a long time, while they prepare to enjoy their afternoon together. Yeseul encourages Jinsu to hurry, so they do not miss any more of the movie, leading him to follow her with an eager nod. As they walk through the dim hallway, her hand accidentally touches his big face, sending a sudden jolt of electricity through Jinsu that makes his eyes go wide with shock. Yeseul is horrified by the accidental contact and quickly apologizes while asking if he is actually all right. Jinsu puts on a brave face and tells her that he is perfectly fine and barely felt a thing, though his internal thoughts are a bit more complicated. He recalls a much more painful memory from his past where Dajong physically bullied him in front of her laughing friends, concluding that a small bump from someone as kind as Yeseul is nothing compared to the brutality he has survived. They finally find their row and take their seats with synchronized sighs of relief as the feature begins to play. Jinsu steals a glance at his partner and feels a sharp pang of regret for not arriving earlier to spend more quality time together, but he decides to push those thoughts aside and focus on the screen. He becomes completely engrossed in the sussy scenery and the unfolding drama until a sudden, insistent vibration in his pocket breaks the silence. At first, Jinsu is annoyed that someone would be so rude as to leave their phone on in a theater, but his irritation turns to a cold sweat when he realizes with a start that he is the one causing the disturbance. He offers a whispered apology to those around him and slips out of the row, heading back toward the empty lobby, while wondering who could possibly be calling a lonely guy like him. His blood runs cold and his face pales when he sees Dajong's name flashing on the screen, and he reluctantly answers the phone only to be met with an immediate wave of verbal abuse. Dajong calls him a series of names and demands to know his exact location, warning him that she is in no mood to be kept waiting. Jinsu sticks to his lie about the group project and claims to be near a specific intersection, but his heart sinks when Dajong reveals she is actually right around the corner at the subway station. She smugly orders him to meet her at exit 3 immediately because she has decided she wants to do cardio with him right this second. Jinsu tries to plead for just a couple of hours so he can finish his work, but Dajong erupts in a fresh fit of rage and reminds him that he has no rights as a loser until his massive debt is settled. She delivers a final ultimatum by giving him exactly 5 minutes to arrive before she carries out her threats, leaving Jinsu standing in the lobby in a state of pure despair as he realizes his perfect afternoon with Yeseul has turned into a total nightmare. 2 hours earlier, the scene unfolds inside a bustling cafe, where the air is thick with the constant hum of conversation and the clinking of coffee cups. Dajong is already seated at a small table, looking stylish in her white top, when her group of friends finally arrives and calls out her name. She waves them over with a casual greeting and asks how they have been, but her uncharacteristically polite tone immediately draws a round of playful teasing from the other girls. They laugh and tell her to stop acting so refined, noting that she does not sound like a ruthless bully at all anymore. One of the friends wonders aloud if Dajong is simply trying to act like a normal person now that she has transitioned into university life, which only leads to more amusement at the table. The group's high-pitched laughter is so insistent that it catches the attention of the cafe staff, who exchange weary glances while noting how loud certain customers can be. One of the friends leans in and asks Dajong if she is actually seeing anyone these days, pointing to her elegant necklace and wondering if a guy gave it to her just to ask her out. Dajong stares down at the melting ice cubes in her nearly empty glass and offers a hesitant reply that she isn't really seeing anyone special. Her friends refuse to believe the claim, jokingly calling her a player and insisting that she must have a secret partner tucked away somewhere. Dajong quickly masks her inner confusion with a confident grin and claims that she has plenty of guys available to bring whenever she feels like it. As the conversation shifts to stories about other partners with strange requests, Dajong finds herself struggling to stay present in the moment. A deep and sudden blush creeps across her face as she wonders what has come over her lately. She reflects on her recent history and remembers that she was actually with 3 different so-called expert men doing cardio just in the past week alone, each represented by a different letter in her mental catalog of partners. Despite all of that variety and the fact that she should feel more than satisfied with her active cardio lifestyle, she is frustrated by the realization that she cannot stop thinking about her recent cardio session with that loser Kim Jin-soo. Dajong sits in the cafe with her arms crossed, reflecting on how talking to her friends has only served as a painful reminder of her current frustration. She closes her eyes and admits to herself that she hasn't felt truly satisfied doing cardio training ever since that specific day with her roommate. She thinks back to her recent cardio encounters with other men and wonders why she can't find any particular trainer who is half as good as that loser Jin-soo. All that mediocre cardio with other partners has only left her feeling more restless, and she finds herself twitching with a cardio need that remains unfulfilled. She eventually flinches at her own thoughts and tells her friends that she needs to leave immediately. She stands up and gathers her things, while announcing that she has a very important appointment with someone. When her friends ask for clarification about this mysterious meeting, Dajong simply offers a sussy grin and confirms that it is indeed a very special appointment. Meanwhile, the sound of running water echoes through a bathroom as Jin-soo stands under the shower head with a look of pure misery. He lets out a weary sigh and wonders what he is even doing in a place like this when he should be sitting in a dark theater next to Yeseul. He steals a glance at the tiled wall and laments his current reality, feeling the weight of his choices as he realizes he is now taking a shower in a sussy place's room on Dajong's command. Dajong's sharp voice suddenly cuts through the sound of the water, calling out Jin-soo's name with an impatient tone. He stammers a response while she complains from the other room that she cannot even hear him washing himself properly. She warns him with a terrifyingly intense expression that he better clean every inch of himself because she will absolutely kill him if he happens to smell funny. Jin-soo frantically begins to scrub his hair and skin, reflecting on how he has no choice but to follow every order from his personal bully. He knows his entire life would be over if she ever decided to open her mouth about his secrets, but he still cannot stop worrying about what he is going to tell Yeseul once this is over. Jin-soo eventually slides the bathroom door open and steps out while dripping wet, nervously informing Dajong that he is finally finished. She sits on a plush chair and looks him up and down with a skeptical gaze, asking if he is actually sure that he did a good job cleaning up. Before he can even process the situation, she tells him to give her his hand. Jin-soo is visibly confused and asks if she really wants his hand, but he eventually complies and raises them toward her with a look of pure dread. The silence of the room is broken by a sharp and unmistakable click sound. Then they started a cardio session. The scene shifts to the marble surface of a desk where a smartphone is vibrating with a sense of frantic urgency. The screen lights up with a message from Yeseul asking where Jin-soo has gone, while the air is filled with the intensity of an intense cardio session. Jin-soo is currently standing in the middle of a very active workout, looking completely frozen in a state of panic. He stares down at his roommate, who is focused on her training, and realizes his crush is wondering why he abandoned her in the middle of their movie outing. His face is slick with sweat as he wonders what on earth he is supposed to tell Yeseul to explain his sudden disappearance. He is haunted by the image of Yeseul sitting alone in the dark theater and fears that his silent departure might have already ended any chance of a future with the girl of his dreams. He remembers how stunning she looked in her stylish outfit and decides that he simply cannot give up on her despite his current humiliating circumstances. Driven by a mix of desperation and hope, he reaches a trembling hand out for his phone. He tentatively asks his training partner for permission to use the device while they continue their routine, putting on a nervous smile to hide his fear. Dajong looks back with a flushed and exhausted expression, giving him a sharp and sussy green light to go ahead while calling him a big bad loser. The notification bubble on his screen reveals that Yeseul is becoming increasingly worried, asking him why he left so suddenly and begging him to say something. A wave of dread washes over him as he realizes how bad this looks and wonders if Yesel is secretly fuming on the other side of the screen. He holds the phone over while the workout continues, looking like a man trapped between a nightmare and a dream. He swallows hard and tries to think of a way to explain himself, eventually deciding that a desperate lie is the only way to save the situation. He fakes a heavy cough to sell the performance and types out a message claiming that he was struck by a sudden and overwhelming illness that forced him to run home. He hits the send button and waits in a state of agonizing silence, wondering if his weak excuse will actually work or if he is truly screwed. The room remains quiet except for the rhythmic sounds of their cardio activity until the screen finally lights up with a reply. To his absolute shock, the messages reveal that Yesel isn't actually angry at all. She admits that his sudden exit scared her and explains that she was only worried about his well-being. Jinsu imagines her face filled with genuine concern for his health, asking him how bad he hurts and if he is truly okay. He is overcome with a sense of relief and guilt as he realizes she is not mad, feeling an even more desperate need to reply and keep their connection alive while he remains trapped in his current cardio duties. Jinsu's thumbs move quickly across the screen as he tries to sell his performance by telling Yesul that he thinks he has a fever and admitting that his condition is actually pretty bad. After hitting send, he stares at the device in a state of anxious silence while beginning to doubt himself and wondering if he was just imagining their connection or if everything is finally over between them. Yesil looks down at her phone with a sympathetic expression and thinks his situation sounds absolutely horrible. She assumes he must be really sick and wonders if he is safe at home or if he has managed to take any medicine yet. Jinsu is overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude and thinks to himself that she is a total angel. He wonders if she is actually going to believe his story but feels encouraged by her kind nature. Back on the street, Yesil taps away on her screen with a look of resolve and tells him that she feels terrible about the idea of him being all alone before asking if she can come over to see him at his home. Jinsu's face flushes with heat as he processes the sudden offer and tells himself that he just needs to finish his current task quickly so he can properly reply to her. The cardio session eventually winds down and Dajong lounges on the bed with a look of exhaustion. She acknowledges that Jinsu did a good job today and announces her intention to sleep right where she is, casually dismissing her roommate and telling him he is free to leave now. Jinsu can only offer a nervous and stuttering confirmation as he realizes he has finally been released. Dajong immediately drifts off into a deep slumber with a satisfied sigh, leaving Jinsu to stand there with a triumphant smile. He reflects on how he is finally done with his obligations for the day and decides it is high time to start making himself look legitimately sick for his upcoming visitor. He heads into the bathroom and turns the shower on to a freezing cold temperature, standing under the icy spray with his arms crossed and his teeth chattering while thinking that making himself appear ill is going to be a total piece of cake. He even goes as far as to send her his exact address while shivering in the cold, and reflects on how he never expected things to move this quickly between them, knowing he cannot let such a golden opportunity go to waste. Yesul sends a cheerful reply confirming that she will visit him tomorrow afternoon around 3 o'clock, leaving Jinsu practically vibrating with excitement because his dream girl is actually coming to his room. The next day arrives and Yesil finds herself standing on a quiet street corner while clutching her bag, looking at her phone and then at the surrounding buildings while wondering if she has actually found the right place. Yesil continues her search through the quiet neighborhood, checking her phone and wondering if the building she is looking for is around here somewhere. She looks up at the surrounding apartments with a focused expression, trying to pinpoint the exact location that Jinsu provided. The story takes a brief moment to recall Jinsu's internal panic during his session, where he stood under the water and realized his crush was actually coming to his room. He reflected on the sheer absurdity of the situation, knowing that he was essentially living with his own personal bully while being her partner for intense cardio training. The weight of his 10 million won debt hung heavy over him, as he realized that everything would be completely over if he ever got caught. He typed out a message to Yeseul, wondering if he had truly gone crazy or if his confidence was just a side effect of his recent activities. Back in the present, the morning sun fills the apartment as Dajong sleeps peacefully on the bed. Jinsu watches her with a look of intense anticipation, telling himself that she will likely head out soon so he can finally start preparing for his guest. The clock on the wall ticks away the minutes until Dajong eventually wakes up with a wide yawn and a massive stretch that shows off her athletic build. She offers a cold and silent glance toward her roommate before heading to the kitchen to prepare for her day. Dajong eventually gets dressed in a stylish black top and tight jeans, ready to head out for the afternoon. Jinsu sits on the edge of the bed and fidgets nervously, leading Dajong to compare his behavior to a dog that needs to go for a walk. He offers a weak and stuttering smile while claiming that nothing is wrong, which only prompts her to say she doesn't care about him anyway. She slams the door shut with a final insult, leaving Jinsu in a state of absolute silence as he realizes he is finally alone. Our boy immediately dashes into action, realizing that he doesn't have a single second to waste if he wants to clean the place up before Yasul arrives. He starts a frantic search for any evidence of another person living there, quickly grabbing Dajong's toothbrush and all of her various beauty products to hide them away. He rushes to the closet and stuffs her stylish dresses out of sight, but his heart nearly stops when he comes across her black sussy cloth. He finds himself momentarily stunned by the view and imagines Dajong wearing the sussy outfit before shaking his head violently to clear the sussy thoughts from his mind. He quickly flings the items into a large black trash bag and drags it across the floor, tossing it into a kitchen cupboard just until his crush is gone for the day. With the room finally looking presentable, he turns his attention back to his own appearance. He remembers that he told Yasael he was sick and decides that the best way to prove it is to lower his body temperature by standing under a freezing cold shower. He stands under the icy spray with a look of pure determination, eventually emerging with a case of the actual shivers. He puts on a long-sleeved shirt and trembles with cold, beginning to wonder if he took his plan a bit too far for the sake of a lie. He checks the clock on the wall and realizes that it is finally 3 o'clock, meaning his guest should be arriving at any moment. Jinsu pulls a surgical mask over his ears and practices a few dry coughs to sell his performance as a suffering patient. He hears a rhythmic knocking at the front door and looks through the monitor to see Yasol standing there with a kind and expectant smile. He pulls the door open and greets her while struggling to maintain his sick persona in front of his crush. Yasul looks him over with genuine concern and asks how he is feeling today. Jinsu offers a weak laugh and a few more forced coughs while admitting that he feels slightly better than the previous day. He steps back to let her into the room and invites her to take a seat on the small wooden chair. Yasul takes in the view of the apartment and notes that the space is surprisingly clean for a college student living alone. Jinsu starts to blush and rubs the back of his neck with pride until his eyes land on a single long hair resting on his beige bedsheet. He realizes with a start that he missed a crucial piece of evidence left behind by his roommate and lets out a silent gasp of horror. He decides that the only way to hide the hair is to act like he is suddenly overwhelmed by fatigue, and he collapses onto the bed right on top of the spot. Yasul is startled by the sudden movement and asks if he feels dizzy or needs to go to a doctor immediately. Jinsu assures her that he is fine and claims he just needs a moment to rest his head on the pillow. Yaseul leans over the bed to get a closer look at him and asks for permission to check if he actually has a fever. Jinsu finds himself momentarily distracted by her proximity as she leans in, and he watches with wide eyes as she reaches out to place a gentle hand against his forehead. She observes that his skin feels quite warm and asks if he has managed to take any medicine for his condition yet. The touch feels incredibly nostalgic to the young man, and he finds himself getting caught up in the warmth of her care while trying to keep his heart from racing. He mentions that he has not even eaten lunch yet, which leads Yasel to scold him gently for neglecting his health while being so ill. She leans back with a playful expression and asks if he would like to eat something together, such as a bowl of ramen. Jinsu's mind immediately jumps to the sussy cultural implications of that specific invitation, and he wonders for a frantic second if he has completely misunderstood the nature of their relationship. Yasel notices his panicked expression and laughs, while clarifying that she was just kidding and would never actually feed ramen to a sick person. She announces her intention to make him some healthy porridge instead and asks if he has any rice stored in the kitchen cabinets. She stands up and walks toward the cooking area while stretching her arms and wondering what ingredients she can find to work with. Jinsu watches her from the bed while reflecting on the unexpected joke she made and marveling at the fact that he is actually alone with the girl of his dreams. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a crowded cafe where Dajong is surrounded by the constant bustle and chatter of her social circle. She looks completely disinterested in the conversation and sighs at the sheer boredom of the afternoon. She shifts in her seat and begins to wonder if she should just give up on the party and head back to the apartment early today. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, a bright orange pot bubbles away on the stove as the savory scent of porridge begins to fill the small apartment. Jinsu lies in bed and watches the scene with a sense of disbelief because the girl he likes is actually standing in his kitchen and preparing a meal just for him. Yasil hums a happy little tune while she works, eventually heading over to the refrigerator to see if there are any extra ingredients she can add to make the meal even better. Jinsu can't help but notice her figure as she leans into the fridge, and he admits to himself that the view is making him feel a bit strange. He reflects on how much he enjoys being taken care of like this, even if his current sickness is mostly a desperate lie designed to get to know more of her. He starts to daydream about what their life might be like if they actually ended up outing one day, feeling more hopeful than he has in a long time. Yesul eventually finds what she needs and clicks the stove off before scooping a generous portion of steaming porridge into a small white bowl. She announces that the meal is finally ready and walks toward the bed with a look of pure kindness. To our boy watching her, she appears like an absolute angel as she brings the food over with a gentle smile that seems to make the whole room sparkle. Jinsu flinches with a mix of excitement and nerves as she sits down on the edge of his bed right next to him. He offers a soft word of thanks while pulling his mask down to his chin, feeling the heat rise in his cheeks once again. Yesil tells him that she truly hopes he enjoys the meal and raises a spoonful of porridge toward his mouth. She carefully blows on the steam to cool it down for him before giving him a playful look and asking him to open up for a taste. Jinsu is completely stunned by the sussy gesture and wonders if she is being this friendly just because he is sick, or if there is something more to her actions. The peaceful atmosphere is suddenly shattered by the insistent buzzing of a smartphone resting on the bedsheet. Jinsu's eyes go wide with dread as he wonders who could be calling him at such a critical moment and why the universe seems to have such terrible timing. He offers a quick apology to Yesil and says that he really needs to take the call while she gives him a supportive nod and tells him to go ahead. He raises the phone to his ear with a trembling hand and offers a nervous greeting only to flinch violently at the sound coming from the other end. His face drains of all color in a matter of seconds, which leads Yesil to wonder why he looks so pale and nervous all of a sudden. She catches the faint sound of a woman's voice on the line and begins to question if everything is actually all right with her coworker. Inside his own mind, Jinsu is in a state of absolute panic as he begs his brain to think of a believable explanation before his perfect afternoon is completely ruined. Jinsu suddenly leaps off the bed and dashes across the room in a blur of motion, leaving Yesil sitting there with a bowl of porridge and a look of total bewilderment. He reaches the front door and leans against the wall while peeking through the security monitor, his eyes going wide with shock as he realizes his worst nightmare is currently walking down the hallway. He can hear the rhythmic click-clack of Dajong's high heels approaching the apartment, and he swallows hard while trying to process the sheer disaster unfolding before him. He turns back to the room and lets out a frantic shout of apology to Yesil, who can only blink in confusion while trying to understand what he means. Before she can even get a word out, Jinsu reaches out and grabs her by the wrist with a sense of desperate urgency. He tells her that they need to hide right this second and begins pulling her across the room while his mind races through every possible hiding spot. His heart nearly stops when his eyes land on Yesil's blue shoes sitting right by the front door, realizing they are a dead giveaway that he has a guest. He decides it is far too late to do anything about the steaming bowl of porridge, so he focuses on the most incriminating evidence and grabs her shoes instead. He tells Yesil to leave everything on the table and rushes her toward the large wardrobe, throwing the doors open with a sharp whoosh of air. Just as the sound of the keypad beeping echoes through the apartment, Jinsu pulls Yesil into the cramped darkness and shuts the doors behind them. The front door creaks open, and Dajong steps inside, clicking the lock into place while looking around the quiet living space. Inside the small closet, the atmosphere is thick with a different kind of tension as Jinsu and Yesil are forced to stand pressed tightly against one another. Dajong stands in the middle of the room and lets out an annoyed sigh, wondering aloud where that lazy loser could have gone now. Meanwhile, Yesil finds herself reacting to the sussiness with a soft and involuntary sound of surprise that makes her face blush in the darkness. She quickly covers her mouth with her hand to stifle any further noise, while her eyes go wide with a mix of shock and confusion. Jinsu can only stare straight ahead in a state of pure panic, knowing with absolute certainty that if his personal bully finds them in this sussy position, he is completely screwed. While Yesil appears relatively calm at first, her expression quickly shifts into a deep and questioning frown as the absurdity of their hiding spot begins to sink in. She waves him closer with an insistent gesture and whispers directly into his ear to demand an explanation for what is actually going on. To make her point clear, she warns him that she might just start screaming if he does not give her some answers immediately, sending Jinsu's brain into a frantic state of high-voltage panic as he tries to conjure a believable story. Desperate to save the situation, he leans in and whispers a convoluted lie about how the girl currently wandering the apartment is actually his cousin who is staying with him for a short while. He tries to sell the performance by claiming his parents are incredibly old-fashioned and would force him to move out if they ever discovered he had a female guest over. He immediately realizes how ridiculous the excuse sounds, and wonders what on earth he is even saying to the girl of his dreams. He concludes that his lie makes absolutely no sense, because no traditional parent would ever send their daughter to live alone in a room with a guy, leaving him to spiral in a daze of self-inflicted confusion. Jinsu gulps in anticipation of her reaction and prays that she will somehow believe his nonsense, but he is caught completely off guard when Yeseul smiles and comments on how large it actually is. He is momentarily shocked by the sussy phrasing until she clarifies with a playful wave that she is simply referring to the size of the room they are currently sharing. She offers a kind and reassuring look while promising to stay quiet for the time being, making Jinsu feel like he is in the presence of a literal angel who is far too good for a loser like him. Meanwhile, back in the main living area, Dajong has spotted the steaming bowl of porridge resting on the table and leans in to investigate. She recalls telling her servant to make her some real food and feels annoyed that he would prepare such a bland meal like porridge instead. She picks up the spoon and takes a large scoop, though her face quickly twists in a look of pure disgust as she complains about how tasteless and bland the meal is. Inside the wardrobe, Jinsu is secretly fuming because his roommate has the nerve to criticize Yeseul's cooking when she does not even know how to boil water herself. Dajong tries to use her phone to call him, but finds that his phone is completely turned off, which is a result of the proactive step Jinsu took before they entered the closet. She lets out a huff of annoyance and decides to just order some delivery instead, settling onto the bed with a heavy whump that signals she has no intention of leaving anytime soon. As she continues to scroll through her phone, the situation inside the wardrobe takes a turn for the worse for our protagonist. Jinsu realizes he is in a very bad spot, as the reality of their proximity becomes impossible to ignore in the dark. Jinsu can only blush in total silence, while the clock on the wall continues to tick away the minutes. Dajong is currently lounging on the bed and completely absorbed in her laptop screen, finding herself entertained by the sounds of a popular mukbang video. She watches with a look of pure amusement as the man on the screen struggles to eat the hottest food in the world, laughing at his dramatic reaction as he gasps about his burning tongue. While Dajong continues to enjoy the show, Jinsu is still trapped inside the dark wardrobe and beginning to spiral into a state of deep concern. He wonders how much longer they are expected to stay hidden in such a cramped space and fears that they might be stuck there until the sun goes down. The quiet of the apartment is suddenly broken by the rhythmic ding-dong of the doorbell, which immediately catches Dajong's attention. She lets out a small sound of realization and announces to the empty room that her delivery has finally arrived. She lets out an eager sigh and dashes toward the front door with a sense of excitement, pulling it open with a sharp creak to greet the delivery driver. She takes the white plastic bag with a polite word of thanks and carries it back toward the living area, her eyes lighting up when she sees the box of golden brown fried chicken inside. Dajong claps her hands together in delight and tells herself that you can simply never go wrong with chicken, though she quickly adds a mental note that she intends to make her servant pay her back for the meal later. Inside the closet, Jinsu is fuming with a mix of annoyance and disbelief as he processes the situation. He reflects on how she specifically ordered him to cook her dinner, only to turn around and order chicken while expecting him to cover the costs anyway. Meanwhile, Dajong settles back onto the bed and begins to munch on her meal with a look of total satisfaction. She continues to watch her laptop and laughs at the funny videos while she eats, eventually finishing her snack and letting out a wide, satisfied yawn. She stretches her arms high over her head before checking her phone one last time, and as the clock on the wall continues its steady tick-tock, she finally gives in to her fatigue. Dajong drifts off into a deep slumber with her mouth wide open and a messy trail of drool escaping, producing a steady and unbothered snore. Jinsu steals a cautious glance through the narrow gap in the wardrobe doors, his eyes widening as he realizes that his personal bully is finally fast asleep. He slowly pushes the door open with a faint creak and steps out into the room with Yeseul following close behind. He looks over at the sleeping woman and puts on a forced smile to hide his frustration, but his internal thoughts are far from peaceful. He realizes that being in a state for several hours has taken a serious toll on his body. He clenches his teeth in a fit of silent agony and admits to himself that he is hurting like crazy. Jinsu tries to walk off the discomfort while letting out a series of pained groans, patting his side in a desperate attempt to find some relief. Yasul watches his strange and awkward behavior with a hint of concern, leaning in to ask if he is actually feeling okay. Jinsu falls into a state of total panic and shakes his hands vigorously, stuttering out an insistence that he is perfectly fine and that it is absolutely nothing to worry about. To his complete shock, Yasul lets out a playful laugh and tells him that it is okay because she already knows exactly what is going on with him. She acknowledges that it must be incredibly painful for a man to stay in that specific condition for a long time, leaving Jinsu to scratch the back of his head in a daze of total embarrassment. Yasul's expression softens into one of pure kindness as she tells him she feels bad about the pain he must be in. Jinsu tries to play it cool while hoping the situation will resolve itself soon, but he is caught completely off guard by her next move. In a sudden blur of motion, Yasil leans in with a look of resolve and proceeds to help him relieve the pain by doing a cardio session. Yasul looks up with a sweet and blushing smile, asking if that cardio experience actually felt good for him. She stands up from her crouched position and offers a playful reassurance, telling him she is sure he will be okay now that he has managed to find some cardio relief. With a lighthearted laugh and a finger to her lips, she reminds her coworker that he can finally put everything away and get himself back in order. Jinsu finds himself in a state of total shock as he realizes his situation is still very much on display, leading to a moment of frantic embarrassment as he tries to process what just happened. Yasul heads toward the exit and turns back one last time with a warm gaze, saying she looks forward to seeing him again soon. Jinsu can only flinch and offer a stuttering reply, telling her to take care of herself as she makes her departure. As the door closes, Jinsu stands there with a blushing and intense expression, telling himself that he is not actually finished with this moment. He reaches out a trembling hand and imagines grabbing her wrist, calling out for her to wait before she disappears from his life. He pauses as a sudden and powerful realization hits him like a ton of bricks, making him wonder if that cardio moment was really just a one-time thing. Jinsu is not ready for the afternoon to end just yet, catching Yasul by the wrist and insisting that he actually feels much better now that she is here. Yasul offers a calm and questioning look as she glances over her shoulder, reminding him that his cousin is still sleeping peacefully on the bed just a few feet away. Jinsu looks at the snoring Dajong and admits to himself that there is no way they can stay here, but he feels a surge of resolve and decides he simply cannot give up on this moment. He starts to tremble with a mix of nerves and excitement as he stammers out a suggestion that they could just head over to a nearby place and do more cardio instead. Yasul stands before him with a soft and mysterious expression, eventually telling him that they are not quite ready for that step. She gives him a gentle smile and says she does not believe their partnership is actually there yet, which leaves Jinsu in a state of total mental overload. He finds himself completely baffled by her logic, wondering how she could be comfortable providing a personal cardio session but feel that a gym visit is going too far. He tries to protest, but Yasel's gaze turns serious, as she tells him he should really listen when she is talking to him. She offers a sussy little grin and suggests that she might just do with him again in the future if he proves himself to be a good boy. The door slams shut with a loud bang as Yesel makes her departure, leaving a blushing Jinsu to wonder what kind of strange relationship they actually have. The quiet of the apartment does not last long because the sleeping figure on the bed begins to stir with a soft sound. Dajong opens her eyes and steals a sideways glance toward the room, noting that her servant has finally returned. Jinsu is practically vibrating with fear as he offers a shaky greeting, while Dajong pulls herself up with a look of pure irritation. She is absolutely fuming because he ignored all of her phone calls and had the nerve to sneak back into the apartment while she was trying to sleep. Dajong is out of her mind with rage as she demands to know if he has lost his mind, eventually lunging at him with a terrifyingly intense expression. She catches him in a powerful headlock and pulls him, demanding that he say something to defend himself. She is particularly livid that he ignored her order to cook a real dinner and made that weird porridge instead, which leads to another aggressive squish that leaves Jinsu struggling to breathe. Our boy is caught in a state of total overload. He can only manage a series of muffled sounds, while Dajong continues to demand an answer from the pathetic loser. Jinsu eventually realizes he is in a losing battle and begins to tap frantically on the wall to signal his surrender. He breaks free and falls into a fit of heavy coughing, gasping for air, while Dajong watches him with a look of lingering frustration. She tells him that she would normally beat the crap out of him right now, but she decides to leave that for a later time. She leans in with a calculating gaze and tells him there is a specific way for him to get her to go easy on him today. Da Zhang prepares herself for another intense routine and warns him with a dark look that he better do a good job at training her cardio this time. Jinsu can only stare with wide eyes. Da Zhang tells Jinsu to stop standing around like an idiot and demands that he start training immediately. Jinsu feels a surge of intense energy as he realizes he can channel all the frustration and disappointment from his failed moment with Yeseul into this workout. He stands with his full power unleashed and a look of pure determination, deciding that he is going to spend every bit of his cardio energy on her today. The apartment is soon filled with the rhythmic sounds of a very active training session as the two of them get to work on their routine. Jinsu pushes himself to the limit while reflecting on how he originally wanted to be doing these cardio exercises with someone else, but he eventually admits to himself that this current session is actually good enough. Da Zhang is clearly satisfied with the effort and lets out soft sounds of approval as the cardio workout continues. Jinsu finds himself wondering what Yeseul could be thinking right now while he remains focused on his duty to his roommate. The intensity of the cardio reaches its peak, and Jinsu lets out a final gasp of exhaustion as the session comes to a messy and successful end. The scene eventually shifts to the bright exterior of the convenience store, where Jinsu stands on the sidewalk with a look of extreme hesitation. He wonders how he is supposed to go inside and face his coworker after everything that transpired earlier in the afternoon. He eventually steps through the door and is greeted by Yeseul, who waves with a wide smile and notes that he has arrived for his shift early once again. Jinsu puts on a brave face and decides that his best strategy is to simply act as if nothing happened at all. As he prepares to start his work, his eyes land on Yeseul's legs, and he realizes with a start that this is the first time he has ever seen her wear a good cloth to the store. He finds himself grinning at the view and thinks to himself that she is nothing like his bully because she is clearly acting differently toward him. Yeseul asks if he can help her organize some new bottles, and Jinsu agrees with a surge of enthusiasm. He reflects on how easily Da Zhang moved on from their activities and tells himself to just maintain his usual cheerful persona. He swings his arm and gives Yeseul an energetic greeting, following her into the staff-only storage area with a light heart. Once they are surrounded by the rows of snacks and drinks, Jinsu asks where the new stock is located. Yeseul looks him in the eye with a hint of worry and asks how his cold is doing. Jinsu is struck by a sudden wave of panic as he remembers the lie he told and begins to worry that he looks far too healthy for someone who was supposed to be sick. Yeseul notes that he still looks a bit tired in her eyes and asks if his fever is finally gone. Jinsu scratches his head nervously and stammers out a reply that he is almost better. Later, Da Zhang is currently sitting in a crowded university lecture hall, forced to listen to her professor drone on about historical events in Europe. She has a look of pure boredom on her face and admits to herself that she feels like she might actually die of boredom if the class does not end soon. The quiet of the room is broken by the insistent buzzing of her phone, pulling her attention away from the professor's lecture. She checks the screen to find an invitation from her friends to go out for drinks tonight with a group of 5 decent guys from a nearby university. Da Zhang leans her head on her hand and reflects on how little she cares about whether a man looks good on the outside. In her mind, the only thing that truly matters is what a man is bringing to the table in terms of his cardio performance. She sighs deeply as she realizes that she has been completely unable to concentrate on her studies lately. Her thoughts keep drifting back to the unexpected special cardio talent of that loser Jinsu, and she admits that just thinking about it is making her feel incredibly sussy again. A sudden flinch in her seat reveals how much the memory is affecting her, and she wonders for the 100th time why she cannot stop thinking about a guy who is supposed to be her lowly servant. She recalls the intense details of their recent cardio sessions, remembering how he actually has a special training feature despite his pathetic personality. Her internal struggle is interrupted by her friends calling her name as the lecture finally comes to an end. Da Zhang is startled out of her daze and offers a quick apology, while realizing she must have looked completely distracted while thinking about her roommate. As the group walks through the sunny campus courtyard, her friends lean in with sussy smiles to ask if she actually followed through and did cardio with that mysterious guy she mentioned. Da Zhang offers a smug laugh and asks if they really thought she was just going to enter in his room without getting some action first. One of her friends mentions that the guy looked pretty normal on the outside, but Da Zhang's eyes light up as she describes how good he actually is once he starts training. She even uses her hands to demonstrate how longer he can teach cardio, leaving her friends in a state of total shock. However, her triumphant moment is quickly cut short by a wave of intense frustration. She realizes that she can never actually tell her popular friends that the man she is bragging about is the same Kim Jinsu they all love to mock, leaving her to laugh nervously while keeping her embarrassing secret hidden. As Dazhong's friends continue their walk, they can't help but note how much manlier and more confident that specific guy has become recently. They marvel at the fact that he speaks much more clearly than before, and even admit that he is starting to look quite attractive. Dazhong is visibly shaken by their observations, shaking her head vigorously while wondering if she is actually going crazy for having such similar thoughts. When her friends ask if she is coming out to join them later, Dazhong offers a polite smile and says she isn't really up for it today. She tries to scold herself for fantasizing about that idiot, waving goodbye to her friends, while telling herself that he is nothing more than a trainer for her cardio satisfaction. However, her confident exterior masks a growing sense of concern as she reflects on their recent intensity. She visualizes a tired little elephant and wonders if she has been pushing her roommate a bit too hard during their cardio routines lately. The scene shifts back to the storage room of the convenience store, where the atmosphere is thick with a very different kind of intensity. Yesel tells Jinsu to relax and stay calm as she continues to provide him with some very specialized cardio relief. Jinsu is caught in a state of total overload, letting out a pained groan while Yesel looks up at him with a dedicated expression. She reminds him that he will perform much better at work once he feels healthy again, leading Jinsu to worry about the possibility of customers walking in. Yesel offers a reassuring gaze and tells him not to worry because she already took the liberty of putting the emergency close sign on the front door. She encourages him to just stay focused on the task at hand, continuing her dedicated routine with a sense of playful confidence. Meanwhile, Dazhong finds herself standing in front of a shelf in the store, her eyes locked onto a bottle of herb extract that is specifically labeled as being good for men. She tries to convince herself that she isn't actually buying a gift for that loser, rationalizing the purchase as simply buying some necessary maintenance supplies for her favorite training partner. She notes that the item is not even that expensive and tells herself she is only doing this for her own benefit. Back in the storage room, the cardio session reaches a frantic pace as Yeseul continues her dedicated work. As the encounter concludes, the scene returns to Dazhong as she walks briskly toward the apartment with a satisfied smile. She feels a surge of anticipation now that she has her special supply, and tells herself that she is going to make sure she thoroughly enjoys doing cardio tonight. She eventually bursts through the front door with a wide grin, loudly announcing to the room that the master has finally returned home. Jinsu offers a weak greeting as Dazhong steps into the room, looking like a man who has barely survived a major disaster. Dazhong is completely taken aback by his appearance, staring in disbelief at his pale face and the dark circles under his sunken eyes. Jinsu sits on the edge of the bed with a noticeable wobble, his limbs trembling with every small movement. Dazhong watches him with a mix of concern and annoyance, thinking that he looks incredibly thin and fragile, as if he has suddenly turned into a rattling skeleton. A sudden realization strikes Dazhong like a lightning bolt, making her eyes go wide with suspicion as she processes the situation. She points an accusing finger and demands to know if he has been handling his own business lately just to avoid doing cardio with her. Jinsu flinches while stammering that her theory is completely wrong. He argues that she would have certainly caught him in the act by now if that were true, feeling a secret surge of confidence because technically he is not lying about self-cardio training. Dazhong is puzzled by his firm stance and begins to wonder if she is actually the one to blame for his total exhaustion. Deciding to fix the problem herself, she reaches into her bag and raises a small brown bottle of Big Bad Cardio Boost. She tells him to drink it immediately, privately rationalizing that she is just providing some much-needed potion to keep her favorite trainer in working order. Dazhong settles into position and warns him that he better give this workout everything he has. Jinsu offers a nervous promise to try his best as he prepares for another round of intense cardio activity. As he begins the heavy labor of the cardio session, a small and tired smile crosses his face while he reflects on his current state. He tells himself it is no wonder he feels so weak since Yeseul did small cardio training with him that afternoon. Then they started a cardio session. A sharp contrast is drawn between the two women in his life, with the kind and sussy grin of his coworker set against the frustrated and suspicious frown of his roommate. Back in the apartment, Dazhong asks if he managed to finish his part of the routine again, but notes with annoyance that the cardio experience feels surprisingly weak this time around. Jinsu suggests that maybe they should just call it a day and stop for now. His internal thoughts are much more frantic, as he complains about how Yeseul already did him dry, and laments the fact that he now has to deal with his demanding roommate in his current state. Dazhong is visibly disappointed by his training performance, and admits to himself that she had been looking forward to this cardio session all day. She wonders aloud if she is simply not enough for him, and asks why he cannot seem to get prepared for her properly. She suddenly catches herself and is horrified by the realization that she is talking to this loser like a jealous partner who is worried about losing her partner's interest. Jinsu quickly tries to reassure her that is not the case, wiping sweat from his brow while thinking about how she is actually one of the most popular girls on campus. He admits to himself that he truly thinks she is really top-notch and likely the prettiest girl in their entire department. He reflects on how she feels great and even acknowledges that she is impressive even if they are not quite as good as Yeseul. Despite the attraction, Jinsu reminds himself that this is still the same An Dajong who has made his life a living nightmare. He wonders why on earth he would ever have a reaction to a total bully with such a terrible personality, even as she has him trapped in a literal lock. Dajong notes that the nutrition drink does not seem to be having much of an effect and begins to suspect that his cardio stamina might be the real problem. She delivers a sharp kick to his side and orders the worthless loser to stop crying and go fetch her some food immediately. She commands him to start getting some regular exercise from now on so he can take better care of her favorite cardio gear, leaving her to wonder if she might need to do something else to get him properly motivated for their next cardio session. Later, Jinsu finds himself seeking advice on a cryptocurrency forum during a moment of personal crisis, posting a message to his fellow investors about his complicated sussy life. He explains that he is currently living with a woman who constantly demands his cardio attention, but he has recently found another partner he likes much more and is having trouble keeping up with both of them. He even clarifies that his new partner mostly focuses on manual training and specialized sessions, leaving him confused about her true intentions. The other users on the site quickly jump in to mock him, telling him he is probably just hallucinating because he lost all his money on digital coins. Jinsu looks at the screen with a weary sigh, knowing that even though they think he is making it up, his reality is much more exhausting than any lie. He turns around from his laptop to see Dajong snoring loudly on the bed, looking completely unbothered by his internal struggle. He reflects on how she is his personal bully and how the past 2 weeks have felt like being treated dry like a dog. He wonders how his life became a series of high-intensity sessions that have left him looking like a pale shadow of his former self. To escape the pressure at home, Jinsu heads out for a meal at a famous pasta restaurant with his coworker. He is joined by the lovely Yeseul, who looks absolutely radiant in a stylish black top. She is thrilled by the sight of the meatball pasta and thanks Jinsu with a sparkling smile that makes him blush. Jinsu finds himself mesmerized by her kindness, but the memory of their recent cardio activities starts to cloud his mind. He recalls how their relationship took a surprising turn when Yeseul cornered him in the restroom at a different location. She eventually proceeded to fill his cardio energy right there in the stall. This was not an isolated incident, as she had also surprised him during their movie outing and even found a quiet spot on the university campus to continue their intense cardio routine. Jinsu remembers standing in a classroom while Yeseul worked her magic, leaving him with a flushed face and trembling knees. Despite her sweet and innocent appearance, she has been keeping him busy with a constant stream of training that has left him depleted. Jinsu eventually trudges back toward the apartment under the cover of night, looking completely defeated. He walks with a heavy step and wonders if he is actually going to die from exhaustion if this pace continues. He steps through the front door and announces his arrival with a weak and trembling voice, only to be met by an alert and ready Dajong. She looks at him with a sharp gaze and tells him to get himself prepared for another training round immediately. Jinsu shudders in fear, but tries to maintain a brave face as he heads straight for the kitchen. He opens the refrigerator and desperately searches for any kind of stamina food that might help him survive the night, landing his eyes on the bottles of Big Bad Potion and nutrition pills. Dajong notices his hesitation and asks if he wants her to order him some extra stamina food to help with his energy levels. Jinsu declines the offer and claims he has already eaten, but his mind is racing with dread as he realizes there is no escape. Dajong becomes impatient and tells him to hurry up and give her what she wants because she intends to go to bed early tonight. She stands up and prepares off her white shirt to reveal a new set of sussy cardio clothes that is almost entirely very proper. She strikes a confident pose while checking her reflection and warns him with a dark look that she will absolutely kill him if he tries to take it easy on her tonight's cardio training. Jinsu can only stand there with his jaw dropped and his heart racing, wondering what on earth is going on. Jinsu is completely frozen in place, staring at his roommate with wide eyes and a dropped jaw as he realizes she is actually wearing such cardio clothes just for him. Jinsu can only stare in a daze of total fixation, finding himself completely overwhelmed by the view before him. This intense moment triggers a specific memory for our boy, taking him back to their high school days during a sweltering gym class. A younger Dajong was complaining about the heat while tugging at her tight shirt to get some air, which caught the attention of her friend, who pointed out that a nearby boy was staring directly at her. Instead of being offended, Dajong had approached him with a smug smirk and asked for his name, and Jinsu reflects on how her cardio features were the true start of their cursed relationship. Back in the present, they started a cardio session. The story jumps forward to 1 o'clock the following afternoon, where a weary Jinsu is walking through the apartment with a towel. Dajong sits on the edge of the bed and asks for the time before checking if the hot water boiler is turned on for a shower. When Jinsu mentions that he was just about to head into the bathroom himself, she tells him to be quiet and insists on going first. A short while later, Dajong is fully dressed in a white turtleneck and a black skirt, pausing at the front door to announce that she might not even come home later that night. Jinsu waves goodbye and watches her leave, thinking to himself that she is once again acting as if their intense cardio activities from the night before never happened. However, the moment the door slams shut, the cool and collected exterior of the bully completely evaporates. Dajong leans against the door in the hallway with a face as red as a beet, clutching her head in a fit of total shame as she reflects on her behavior. She is haunted by the blurry memories of herself acting cute and begging for his attention, even recalling how she told him that she only does such sussy cardio postures for cool guys. She cringes at the thought of treating him like a real partner, wondering in a state of panic if the loser actually noticed how flustered she was. Her inner turmoil is eventually interrupted by a loud and demanding growl from her stomach, reminding her that she fled the apartment in such a hurry that she forgot to eat. She tells herself to stay calm and decides that she will feel much better once she gets some food in her system. She eventually walks into a nearby convenience store to grab a snack, but her day takes a turn for the worse when the register lets out a sharp beep and denies her transaction. She tries a second card with a look of growing concern, but the machine rejects that one as well. The cashier looks up with a nervous and sympathetic smile, while explaining that this card isn't working either, leaving Dajong in a state of shock as she finds herself standing face to face with Jinsu's co-worker, Yeseul. Dajong feels the heat of embarrassment after her card fails at the register, offering a quick apology and promising to return later, while secretly relieved that she does not actually live in this neighborhood. She heads to a nearby ATM and is horrified to find that her remaining balance is far lower than expected, leading her to wonder where all of her money could have possibly gone. She pulls out her phone and looks at the contact information for her brother, a man she affectionately refers to as a piece of small trash. She calls her brother Dahoon and immediately starts venting her frustration, though he only responds with a teasing tone and calls her his dumb little sister. Dajong demands that he stop messing around and return her money, but Dahoon drops a bombshell by revealing that their father wants her to go on a blind outing with a prospective marriage candidate. Dajong is absolutely livid at the idea of being used as bait to snag a wealthy son-in-law, gripping the wooden bench until her knuckles turn white. Her brother adds insult to injury by reminding her that she should not have spent that specific 10 million won in the first place, jokingly asking if she wasted it at a host bar or by hitting on a celebrity. Dajong eventually loses her cool and screams at him to shut up before ending the call in a fit of pure rage. Meanwhile, Jinsu is startled by the insistent vibration of his phone and notices a new notification from the Coin Community Forum. He realizes with a start that the post he made earlier has gained a lot of traction and worries that it might have gone viral. He briefly regrets not deleting it sooner, but quickly decides that he has much more important things to worry about than a bunch of internet strangers. He stuffs the phone back into his pocket and focuses on his upcoming shift, trying to prepare himself for whatever he needs to say to the girl of his dreams. Jinsu arrives at the convenience store with a cheerful shout, greeting Yeseul, who is already busy stocking the shelves. She notes with a warm smile that he seems to be making a habit of showing up 30 minutes early lately. Jinsu offers a wide grin and tells her that he simply has a lot of work he wants to get through with her. Yeseul leans in with a sussy expression and asks exactly what kind of work he is referring to, which sends Jinsu into a sudden and confusing state of panic. For a brief second, he is haunted by a vision of his roommate standing in Yeseul's place, making him wonder if he is finally starting to lose his mind after seeing his bully everywhere he looks. The confusion only deepens when Yeseul notices his reaction with a playful look. She suggests that he was clearly talking about a very specific kind of cardio work after all, leaving a blushing Jinsu to frantically explain that his response is just an automatic function. To break the tension, Yasel turns her attention toward the dessert display case and mentions that her birthday is actually the day after tomorrow. Jinsu is taken completely by surprise by the news and feels a surge of excitement at the prospect of a special celebration for his favorite coworker. Yasel leans in with a gentle blush and asks if Jinsu has time in the evening to visit her, making it clear that they will be completely together. This is the moment Jinsu has been waiting for, and his mind screams with joy as he realizes his dream is finally within reach. He quickly assures her that he is more than interested and would love to come over, feeling a surge of triumph that his hard work is finally paying off. The sun eventually sets over the city as the day of the birthday arrives, and Jinsu finds himself walking through the streets with a renewed sense of purpose. He reflects on how lucky he is to have plenty of cardio energy stored up since his roommate has been avoiding him for the past 2 days, giving him the perfect amount of stamina for the training ahead. Back at the apartment, things remain as cold as ever between the roommates as Dajong brushes past him in her outfit. Jinsu tries to strike up a conversation, but she simply slams the door shut while claiming to be far too busy for his nonsense. Jinsu reaches the hallway of a different building and presses the doorbell with a mix of nerves and excitement. The door swings open to reveal Yeseul standing there with a radiant smile, wearing very proper clothes. Jinsu offers a polite greeting and wishes her a happy birthday, thinking to himself that she is infinitely better than his roommate and her constant cycle of crazy antics. He finds himself momentarily stunned by her choice of proper clothing, noting that the dress is absolutely incredible and highlights herself. Yeseul notices his wide-eyed expression and playfully suggests that he can give her his proper congratulations once they are safely inside. Jinsu follows her into the room with a wide grin, secretly hoping that the gift he brought along in his pocket will actually get some use tonight. He holds up a blue box and announces that he bought a cake to celebrate the occasion, along with another special present he has prepared. Then they properly started celebrating her birthday and did some cardio training to relieve the mood later. Later, Daejong sits alone on a park bench under the glow of the streetlights, checking her banking app to find that 1,000,000 won has finally been deposited into her account. She reflects on how the night is still young and feels a sense of relief now that she actually has her money back in her possession. Her phone buzzes once again with a message from her brother, whom she has labeled as small trash in her contacts, providing the exact district and building for her upcoming appointment. Dajong stares at the screen with a look of weary resignation, realizing that her brother is truly going to make her work for that money by forcing her to attend this blind outing. She eventually arrives at the designated location and finds herself standing before the massive wooden gates of a grand, traditional Korean building. Dajong looks up at the tiled roof and wonders what kind of total idiot would actually schedule an outing in a formal place like this in the middle of the night. She steps through the entrance and is immediately met by a staff member dressed in a traditional hanbok who offers a polite bow. The woman welcomes her specifically as Miss An Dajong, making it clear that her arrival has been highly anticipated by the host. Dajong maintains a cold and professional expression as she is led further into the quiet courtyard. She walks past the wooden benches and sliding paper doors until she spots a figure waiting for her at a table in the distance. The man raises his hand and calls her over to his position, leading Dajong to quicken her pace to get a better look at her prospective marriage candidate. As she finally reaches the table and the man's face comes into focus, Dajong lets out a sharp gasp of absolute horror. Dajong arrives at the traditional meeting spot, feeling a sense of dread as she reflects on how she was forced to come on this outing against her will. She initially assumes that her family has set her up with some rich loser and prepares herself for a long and tedious evening of being polite to someone she has no interest in. However, as she approaches the table, her eyes go wide with a mix of surprise and confusion while she wonders who the handsome man sitting before her could actually be. He offers a friendly wave and a warm greeting, which catches Dajong completely off guard and makes her rethink her strategy for the night. She puts on her best polite face and introduces herself as An Dajong, while slipping into the chair across from him. The man introduces himself as Park Ju-yuk and offers a polite smile as he begins the conversation. He explains that he is 24 years old and currently a student at a prestigious medical university, which immediately sends a surge of shock through Dajong's system. She finds herself incredibly impressed by his credentials and good looks, thinking to herself that a handsome med student is a massive upgrade from what she expected. She stammers out a reply that she is a first-year student at her own university while trying to keep her cool in the face of such a high-quality partner. Ju-hyuk notices that she looks a bit uncomfortable and asks with a gentle tone if she would like to head somewhere else if she has already eaten. Da-jong quickly dismisses the idea and insists that she will find something to order, feeling like this sudden turn of events has changed everything about her perspective on the night. The scene shifts briefly to the quiet exterior of the restaurant where a massive water wheel turns slowly in the night, reflecting the calm atmosphere of their meeting. Back inside, Da-jong wipes her mouth with a napkin after finishing her meal, while Ju-hyuk asks if the food was actually to her liking. She confirms that she enjoyed it while he offers a sincere word of thanks for her coming out to meet him tonight. Ju-hyuk leans in with a considerate expression and mentions that he hopes the outing isn't providing her with too much pressure. He goes a step further by offering to put in a good word with her family if she happens to feel uncomfortable with the arrangement, which leads Da-jong to reflect on how incredibly kind and thoughtful he is. Ju-hyuk lets out a light-hearted laugh and asks Da-jong what she usually enjoys doing on the weekends to pass the time. Da-jong decides to maintain her sophisticated persona and claims that she usually spends her time reading, even though her inner thoughts quickly admit that she doesn't actually read at all. Ju-hyuk shares a bit about his own life and explains that he likes to go fishing with his father every once in a while. He notes that it is hard for him to say no to these trips since his father takes time away from his busy job as a hospital director just to see him. Da-jong finds herself genuinely interested and asks if fishing is actually fun, wondering aloud if she might enjoy trying it for the first time herself. Ju-hyuk begins to explain the mechanics of the hobby and suggests that the hardest part for a beginner is often handling the bait. He mentions that it is easy to accidentally hurt yourself if the bait isn't set properly, and suggests that starting with paste bait is usually the best approach. The mention of bait triggers a sudden and painful memory for Da-jong, bringing back her brother's cruel words about how their father intended to use her as bait to snag a wealthy son-in-law. She visualizes herself sitting in a chair and dangling helplessly over the ocean on a fishing line, feeling like she is being treated like a tool rather than a person. Overcome by a sudden wave of frustration and self-realization, Da-jong abruptly stands up and offers a hurried apology. She tells Ju-hyuk that she has to leave immediately, leaving the handsome med student in a state of confusion as she makes a quick exit to regain her dignity. Meanwhile, the story shifts to a very different scene inside a quiet place where Jin-soo and Ye-seol were engaged in a cardio session. Jin-soo wakes up in a daze and begins a frantic search of his surroundings, only to be met with a sight that makes his eyes nearly pop out of his head. He stares at a shelf filled with various cardio tools that he definitely did not see the day before, wondering who could have possibly put them there. The situation goes from strange to terrifying when he tries to move his arms but cannot. Ye-seol slides into view with a playful greeting, asking if he is finally awake and wondering if he managed to sleep well through the night. She stands there with a bright and innocent smile, wearing a white shirt that hints at a side of her personality that Jin-soo never expected to see. He can only stammer her name in a state of total shock, looking at her with wide eyes as he tries to process his current predicament. He asks if she is the one responsible for doing this to him, and Ye-seol offers a calm and direct confirmation that she indeed handled the situation herself. Jin-soo tries to laugh it off as a joke and begs her to let him go, but his hopeful smile quickly fades when Ye-seol tells him with a serious expression that she is not joking at all. She explains that it took her a long time to finally find the courage to take this step, but she is now completely sure about her feelings. Jin-soo is left in a state of utter confusion, wondering what on earth she could be talking about as she begins to describe the specific cardio features she has noticed about him. Ye-seol mentions how she was specifically impressed by his training methods during their previous sessions, reflecting on the moments she spent training with him in various locations. She recalls the time in their cinema outing, admitting that those experiences were how she truly found out about his special talent for intense cardio. Jin-soo can only stare in silence as he reflects on their past encounters, remembering how Ye-seol always seemed so helpful and kind while she was actually evaluating his performance. The surprises continue as Ye-seol admits that she has a few good hobbies of her own that she usually keeps hidden from others. She explains that she has to be very careful because she specifically enjoys using gym tools for her cardio routines, showing off some of the gym tools on her shelf with a sense of pride. She tells Jin-soo that he has officially passed the test and has proven himself to be the perfect candidate for her specialized cardio training. She leans in with an intense gaze, looking directly into his eyes with a look of pure resolve. Ye-seol finally asks the question he never expected to hear, wondering if he would like to become her official cardio partner from now on. A digital ding sound echoes through Jinsu's mind as he realizes that his life has just taken a very complicated turn. He reflects on the fact that she was just looking for a partner all along and wonders if being chosen is actually a bad thing in the long run. He visualizes Dajong and Yeseol standing side by side, each holding a leash as if he were their personal cardio trainer. He realizes that he now has a second collar around his neck, caught between his roommate who holds his massive debt over his head and his coworker who has revealed a much more intense sussy side to her personality. He thinks about Dajong's constant demands for errands and money and compares it to the gym tool Yeseol is now holding out toward him. He sees Dajong as the bossy woman who still views him as a servant, while Yeseol beckons him closer with a mysterious and sussy smile. The story shows a striking comparison of Yeseol's two worlds. Jinsu decides to follow the path of least resistance and tells Yeseol that he will indeed be her official cardio partner from now on. Yeseol is absolutely thrilled by his answer. She admits with a wide smile that she was secretly worried about how she was going to handle his training if he had actually decided to say no to her proposal. Jinsu notes how incredibly happy she sounds about the new arrangement, while Yeseol suggests that they should have a little training right now to celebrate their new status. Then they started a cardio session. Back at the other apartment, Dajong is sitting on her bed and checking her phone during a quiet moment. She notices a notification from Park Ju-hyuk and reads through his message where he admits to being surprised by her sudden exit. He tells her that he still thinks she is a good person despite the awkward situation and mentions that he would really like to talk to her again sometime. Dajong is momentarily struck by his handsome appearance and perfect manners, but she lets out a frustrated sigh while wishing their encounter hadn't been a forced arranged outing. The quiet atmosphere is broken by the creak of the front door as a weary Jinsu finally returns home. He is caught completely off guard to find Dajong home on a Sunday and offers a nervous greeting while she stares him down with an intense glare. Dajong crosses her arms and demands to know where the loser has been this whole time, prompting Jinsu to scratch the back of his head in a state of panic. He tells himself that he expected her to be out for the weekend, but those thoughts are quickly interrupted when Dajong orders him to get on his knees immediately. Jinsu is initially confused by the sudden demand, but Dajong erupts in a fresh fit of rage and calls him an idiot while repeating her command. Our boy eventually complies and sinks to the floor while wondering what is actually going on. Dajong leans in with a calculating gaze and points a finger directly at his body, asking him to explain the suspicious symbol she sees there. Jinsu's heart nearly stops as he realizes he forgot about the band-aid on his body, and he frantically covers it with his hand. He offers a weak and stuttering explanation that he simply scratched himself too hard and needed to cover the wound. Dajong is clearly not buying the story and looms over him with a sussy expression, asking if he is actually trying to hide something from her. She demands a straight answer about where he spent the night, forcing a sweating Jinsu to look up with a fake smile and claim that he was just studying for his exams all night long. Jinsu reflects on how he originally thought Dajong did not care whether he came home or not. Dajong is not easily fooled and points out the obvious flaw in his story by noting that it is not even exam season yet. She warns him not to lie to her while shifting her weight on the bed with a heavy whump that signals her growing impatience. Dajong looks him in the eye and asks if he actually managed to get a partner during his night away from the apartment. Jinsu is taken aback by the sudden question and secretly admits to himself that while he does not have a real partner, he did find a dedicated cardio partner instead. Dajong notes that his training energy feels different than before and claims that everything about his behavior is starting to look suspicious to her. She quickly clarifies that she is not acting out of jealousy and insists she does not care about his relationship status at all. However, she reminds him that his cardio stamina essentially belongs to her until he manages to pay back every single cent of the 10 million won he lost. Jinsu finds himself momentarily distracted by the view as Dajong vents her frustration and scratches her head while complaining that she cannot just beat the truth out of him like she used to back in high school. She decides on a new plan and orders her servant to head out and buy some drinks immediately so they can get drunk and have a truly honest discussion about his secrets. Jinsu tries to point out that it is still the middle of the day, but Dajong shuts down his backtalk by reminding him that he is nothing more than an errand boy in her eyes. She asks if she needs to give him another strict time limit and settles on giving him exactly 3 minutes and 20 seconds to complete the task. Jinsu does not need to be told twice and immediately dashes out of the room while Dajong begins her countdown. As he runs through the hallway, he wonders why she is so insistent on drinking all of a sudden. The front door slams shut with a loud bang, leaving the room in a heavy silence that is only broken by the soft tapping of the clock on the wall. Dajong stands alone in her sussy cloth, nibbling on her thumb while looking visibly conflicted about her current emotions. She tells herself that she was originally just going to yell at him a little for his behavior, but her mind starts to wander into territory that leaves her feeling incredibly uncomfortable inside. She lets out a frustrated sigh as she reflects on their past, remembering how she used to deliver a powerful whack to his face without a second thought. She wonders why on earth she has started to get so soft on her servant lately, finding herself unable to maintain her ruthless bully persona. Her thoughts shift to a comparison between the handsome med student and her roommate, which only serves to make her even more flustered as she shakes her head to clear the confusion. Dajong eventually settles onto the floor with a grumpy pout, waiting in the quiet for her errand boy to return with the supplies. The apartment is suddenly filled with the sound of a heavy door swinging open as Jinsu bursts inside while panting for air. He announces that he is finally back and asks with a desperate gasp if he managed to make it home in time for her strict deadline. Dajong is momentarily caught off guard by his sudden entrance and finds her heart racing at the sight of him. She quickly masks her inner shock with a sudden scolding tone, telling him that he is obviously late and ordering him to start pouring the drinks immediately if he does not want to get his ass kicked. She privately admits to herself that she did not even bother to start the timer, but she feels much better by simply assuming that he failed the task anyway. The two of them settle in as the sound of liquid filling the glasses echoes through the room, eventually sharing a small clink before taking their first drink of the afternoon. Jinsu lets out a pained groan after a heavy gulp, reflecting on how the alcohol feels even stronger than usual on a completely empty stomach. Dajong lounges on the bed with a playful look and mentions how it has actually been a while since they sat together like this. She orders him to get on his knees, recreating their old dynamic from years ago, and asking him with a smug laugh if the situation reminds him of the good old days. Jinsu offers a distracted and stuttering reply, while Dajong notes that his errand run was surprisingly quick for someone who has not handled her demands in such a long time. She munches on a snack and suggests that he should likely be thanking her for giving him so much exercise lately, leading Jinsu to offer a weary and nervous agreement. Dajong's mind drifts back to their high school days, recalling how she would hold up her phone and give him exactly 3 minutes and 30 seconds to run through the halls. She remembers the rowdy group of friends who would snicker while she ordered him to hurry up because the time was ticking away. A younger Jinsu would arrive back in the classroom completely out of breath and panting from the exertion, leading a younger Dajong to offer him a sussy reward for his hard work. Back in the present, Jinsu stands there in a state of total fixation and embarrassment, while Dajong has a sudden moment of clarity and wonders what on earth she is doing. Despite her inner panic, she leans in with a sussy expression and asks if he actually wants to have a cardio session right now. Jinsu is stunned by the direct proposal, but Dajong continues by noting that they have been drinking and suggesting that this was likely exactly what she wanted from her all along. Dajong leans back on the bed with a flushed face, demanding that Jinsu stop lying and finally tell her where he spent the previous night. She is clearly suspicious of his excuses, but her interrogation is suddenly cut short when Jinsu leans forward with a look of unexpected confidence. He asked her with a serious gaze if she really wants to start their training right this second. Dajong is momentarily speechless as she looks into his eyes, stammering that his reaction is the only thing that actually matters right now. Jinsu whispers a bold promise to give her a cardio session like it is their very first time doing training. Then they started a true cardio session. As the apartment is filled with the sounds of their intense cardio session, a smartphone resting on the bedsheet begins to vibrate with a sense of frantic urgency. The screen reveals an incoming call from Yunya cell, but the device goes completely ignored. Out on the street, Yasul pulls the phone away from her ear with a look of genuine disappointment, realizing that her partner is once again not answering her call. She wonders if he is already fast asleep or if something else is keeping him from his device. Yasul settles onto a wooden bench in a quiet plaza and lets out a weary sigh, admitting to herself that even though it has only been half a day, she is already craving some intense cardio. She reflects on how restless she feels as she waits for some kind of response from her favorite trainer. As she watches the people passing by, a stylish man with a calm expression walks through the courtyard. Yasul catches a glimpse of his face and is immediately struck by a sense of familiarity, feeling the exact same reaction she had when she first encountered Jinsu. She watches him walk away with a look of intense curiosity, suspecting that this man might also be destined for something big in her life. Driven by a sudden and sussy impulse, She calls out to the stranger and asks if he could possibly help her with a small problem. Our dumb bro, Park Ju-hyuk, turns around with a look of surprise, wondering why this beautiful sussy woman is approaching him with such a sparkling and hopeful smile. The story continues on a busy sidewalk where Yesil approaches the handsome stranger with a polite request for help. Park Ju-hyuk pauses and offers a friendly smile while asking what he can do for the beautiful, cunning woman. Yesil puts on a convincing performance by claiming she lost a bet with her friends and was forced to ask a random guy out as a penalty. She points toward a nearby corner while suggesting her friends are watching from a distance and asks Ju-hyuk if he would be willing to play along for just a moment. Dumb Ju-hyuk finds himself charmed by her playful wink and agrees to the request despite his initial surprise. The two of them eventually head to a stylish lounge to share a glass of wine and complete the pretend outing. Ju-hyuk looks around the empty room and mentions that he doesn't see any of her friends anywhere, leading Yesil to reveal that she was actually lying about the bet. She rests her chin on her hand and admits that she only used that story as an excuse because she really liked his dumb style. She hopes that her little joke didn't upset him too much and asks for his name while twirling her wine glass. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, the cardio session has left Jinsu in a state of total exhaustion. Dajong reflects on how he has clearly picked up some new cardio habits lately. She tells herself that she doesn't care if he has a girlfriend, but she feels a surge of possessive fury at the thought of him sharing his cardio training with anyone else. Jinsu eventually wakes up with a heavy groan, clutching his head and feeling like his skull is about to break. He notices that the room is quiet and wonders if Dajong has finally gone out for the day. He reaches for his phone on the nightstand to see if he missed any notifications, only to let out a frantic squeak when he sees 3 missed calls from Yeseul. Over at her own place, Yeseul is lounging on her bed in a white shirt, looking through a book when her phone finally rings. Jinsu offers a desperate apology for missing her calls and claims he was just deep in a long nap. Yeseul offers a sussy little laugh and tells him not to worry because it wasn't a big deal. She asks if he managed to get some proper rest since he looked so tired the day before. Jinsu confirms that he is feeling much better and asks if she had a good day herself. Yeseul offers a mysterious grin and says she had a very good time, ending the call with a promise to see him later at work. Jinsu lets out a massive sigh of relief as he realizes his crush isn't actually mad at him for the missed calls. His mood improves even further when he checks a cryptocurrency website and sees that the market charts are finally starting to climb upward. He watches the jagged lines with a wide and slightly manic grin, telling himself that 100% increase isn't enough and that the coin needs to go up at least 20 times more. He decides to prepare his clothes and head to class while feeling more optimistic about his financial future. As he walks along the sidewalk, he remains completely unaware that he is being followed. Dajong is peeking from behind a brick wall with a look of pure determination. She stares at his back and reminds herself that someone else is currently using her 10 million won investment without her permission. She follows him through the neighborhood, eventually crouching down inside a glass phone booth to keep her cover, while her heart beats with a mix of excitement and rage. She resolves to find out the identity of his secret cardio partner no matter what it takes. The story moves to the vibrant university campus where students are bustling about under the clear blue sky. Jinsu walks through the courtyard with his backpack, but he can't shake the feeling that he is being watched. He steals a quick glance over his shoulder and catches a glimpse of a familiar figure darting behind a large red mailbox. He continues his stroll with a knowing smile, watching as Dajong tries her best to stay hidden by ducking behind stairs and crouching in phone booths. Jinsu wonders if she truly believes he hasn't noticed her clumsy attempts to trail him across the school grounds. He reflects on the irony of the situation, finding it a bit pathetic that Dajong is putting so much effort into catching him in a lie. While she is desperately trying to uncover his secrets, Jinsu feels a strange surge of confidence. He stands tall and tells himself that he is the undisputed #1 loner on campus. He reasons that he has absolutely nothing to hide because he simply doesn't have a social life to begin with, though the thought brings a few dramatic, imaginary tears to his eyes as he continues toward his destination. Jinsu eventually leads his shadow into the bustling student restaurant, weaving through the crowded tables and the noise of hungry students. Dajong peeks around a corner with a look of intense focus, but her eyes go wide with confusion when she realizes her target has completely vanished from the area near the vending machines. She stands in the middle of the room looking bewildered, wondering where on earth that loser could have gone in such a short amount of time. The silence of her search is broken by a sudden tap on her shoulder that makes Dajong flinch with a violent start. She turns around to find Jinsu standing right behind her with a cheerful wave and a wide, friendly grin. He asks her what she is doing here, of all places, leaving a blushing Dajong to scramble for a believable excuse. She tucks a lock of hair behind her ear and insists that she is obviously just there to get something to eat. Jinsu sees right through the lie and notes how hard she is trying to play it cool. He playfully asks if she is really planning to eat all by herself, intending to drive her away by making the situation as embarrassing as possible. Dajong finds herself feeling uncharacteristically nervous, wondering why on earth she is being talked to so confidently by a guy she usually views as a loser. She feels like she is the one who should be doing the interrogating, yet her heart is racing and her palms are sweating under his gaze. Her internal struggle is suddenly interrupted when a girl with long red hair approaches and calls out Dajong's name. The newcomer looks quite annoyed and immediately starts scolding Dajong, complaining that she has been ignoring all of her freaking calls once again. Yunya steps into the conversation and reminds Dajong that they are supposed to be going out tonight, noting that she likely forgot their plans once again. Dajong offers a nervous apology while Jinsu stands there wondering if this is actually the Yunya he has heard about. Yunya explains that she figured Dajong would be at the restaurant since it is dinner time, and tells her friend that she really needs to start answering her phone more often. Dajong stammers out a quick apology while Yunya turns her attention to the young man standing nearby with a look of growing recognition. She studies his face with a thoughtful expression, feeling like she has definitely seen him somewhere before. A light bulb suddenly goes off in her head as she triumphantly identifies him as Dajong's personal errand boy from their high school days. Yunya asks with a shocked expression if Dajong is actually out with her former servant, suggesting that a love might have been born from very unlikely circumstances. Dajong is absolutely mortified and shouts that she has no idea what her friend is talking about, while insisting they are not going out at all. Yunya offers a smug grin and tells her it is okay to admit the truth, even if it is a bit embarrassing for her. Dajong is seething with rage, clenching her fists, while wondering aloud why she would ever consider going out with a loser like him. Yunya shrugs her shoulders and suggests that maybe Dajong was just feeling particularly lonely or frustrated lately. Jinsu can only watch the two women bicker while reflecting on how difficult they both are to deal with. Dajong is practically glowing with a fiery aura, wanting to settle things with her friend the way they used to do back in high school. Yunya shuts down the aggression by reminding Dajong that they are sophisticated college students now and begins pulling her away by the arm. She ignores Dajong's protests and announces that they are heading to a club because she refuses to go alone and be bored. Dajong tries to argue that it is far too early for a club, but Yunya points out that they obviously need plenty of time to get ready first. She gives a final wave to Jinsu and tells her favorite errand boy that she will see him again next time. Jinsu waves goodbye with a polite smile, feeling a massive sense of relief as he watches the two women disappear into the distance. He grins to himself while thinking about how lucky he is to have managed to lose his shadow before his shift even starts. He eventually arrives at the convenience store and heads straight for the staff-only area, slamming the door shut with a sense of anticipation. Outside on the front glass, a sign informs potential customers that the shop is temporarily unavailable and provides a phone number for any emergencies. Inside the quiet store, Jinsu and Yensel started a cardio training session. The heavy sound of a footstep echoes through the brightly lit convenience store as an unknown person approaches the back room with a steady pace. Inside the staff area, Jinsu is in a state of absolute high-voltage panic, frantically fumbling as the reality of the situation hits him. He stares at the door with wide, terrified eyes while wondering how on earth someone could be entering when he was so certain he had locked the door. Yeseul remains on her knees with a look of total bewilderment as she wonders if the manager has actually arrived. Jinsu stammers out his belief that the manager must have found a way to unlock the door from the outside, which only adds to the soul-crushing dread hanging in the air. Yeseul turns her back toward him with a deep blush on her face and a look of pure desperation, pleading for him to unlock her before they are discovered. The rhythmic sound of footsteps continues as the manager walks down the aisle toward the staff-only area, completely unaware of the frantic cardio activity happening just a few feet away. Jinsu and Yeseul eventually escape. The manager eventually pushes the door open with a sharp creak, but he finds himself staring into an empty and silent room. Outside in the dim light of the alleyway, Jinsu leans against a wall and lets out a massive sigh of relief as he realizes they managed to slip out the back door just in time. He tells Yeseul that he is going to take the lock off her now while noting that they are safe for the moment. As the sound of a bike bell rings out from the main street, Jinsu peeks around the corner and insists that they cannot let anyone see them together in this sussy condition. He urges Yeseol to head home immediately, while he plans to go back through the front door and lie to the manager about switching their shifts early to avoid suspicion. Yeseol offers a soft and shaky agreement. The scene shifts to a bustling city sidewalk where the night is filled with the glow of neon signs and the constant hum of the crowd. Dajong and Yoonji are walking together after a satisfying meal, with Yoonji letting out a happy sigh and singing a little tune as they stroll. She comments on what a great meal they just had, and admits her surprise that Dajong managed to eat so much while wearing such a stylish and sussy outfit. Dajong offers a smug and confident reply, while wondering how else she is supposed to have enough energy to party all night long. As they walk, Dajong gives her stomach a satisfied pat, while her friend wonders where they should go next since the night is still young. Despite the lively atmosphere, Dajong finds herself distracted by a lingering sense of frustration as she reflects on how she never actually got to finish following Jinsu earlier in the day. The quiet of her thoughts is suddenly broken by the insistent buzzing of the smartphone in her hand, drawing her attention back to the present. She looks down at the screen and is startled to see the name Park Joo-hyuk flashing as the caller, leading her to wonder why the med student is reaching out to her now. She answers the call with a hesitant greeting and hears Joo-hyuk's calm voice on the other end as he asks if she has a moment to talk. Dajong quickly confirms that she is free and even offers a bright, genuine smile while asking if he isn't supposed to be busy with his difficult medical studies. Joo-hyuk begins to explain that he actually has some time on his hands, but the pleasant conversation is abruptly cut short by a sudden blur of motion. Yoonji lunges forward with a sussy grin and snatches the phone right out of Dajong's hand, introducing herself to the handsome stranger as Dajong's close friend. She ignores Dajong's wide-eyed shock and tells Joo-hyuk that if he is planning on seeing her friend tonight, he absolutely needs to bring a partner along for the occasion. She laughs at the clever idea of a double outing and refuses to give the phone back even as Dajong desperately tries to reclaim it with a series of frantic shouts. The two women get into a playful and high-energy scuffle as they snatch the phone back and forth, with Yoonji eventually winning out and finalizing the plans for a night at a hookup bar. She ends the call with a triumphant cheer and a playful gesture, telling a blushing Dajong that she has already set up their appointment for the evening. Dajong stares at her phone with a weary expression, reflecting on how her friend hasn't changed a bit since their school days. The two women eventually head into a stylish wine bar to meet their boys for the evening. While Dajong admits to herself that she actually wanted to see Joo-hyuk again, she still feels a sense of hesitation about the whole situation. Yoonji spots the guys arriving and waves them over with an energetic shout of greeting. Dajong offers a nervous wave and a soft hello, privately thinking about how she refuses to be controlled by her family's expectations. Joo-hyuk arrives with a polite apology for keeping them waiting, followed by his friend who offers a cheerful greeting of his own. Yoonji welcomes them with a wide smile and insists that they haven't been waiting for very long at all. Once everyone is settled at the table, Yoonji suggests that they should all start by introducing themselves. Dajong offers a polite and quiet introduction, while Yoonji enthusiastically shares her name and her age of 20 years. Joo-hyuk introduces himself as a student at K University, and his friend confirms that they both attend the same prestigious school. As they look through the menu, Joo-hyuk mentions that he heard the cheese balls were quite good here before realizing he might be thinking of a different location. Yoonji watches them with a look of intense admiration, clearly impressed by the fact that she is out with two medical students. Joo-hyuk begins to pour the wine and invites everyone to share a drink together. Yoonji raises her glass with a sparkling gaze and tells the guys how nice it is to finally meet them. The air is filled with the sharp sound of clinking glass as the four of them share a toast to start the night. Dajong takes a slow sip of her wine and tells herself that it is perfectly fine to be here with Joo-hyuk, especially since her family will never find out about the meeting. Yoonji leans in with an excited expression and asks the guys if they are truly medical students, wondering aloud if their studies make them incredibly busy. Joo-hyuk offers a calm smile and explains that they still find time to get some fresh air even with their heavy workload. He even mentions that they can simply stay up all night studying if they ever fall behind, leading Yoonji to remark on how dedicated they must be to their education. Dajong watches her friend with a look of growing suspicion, wondering if Yoonji is only acting this way because she found out the guys were med students. She recalls how even Yoonji's purse was a gift from an office worker she met previously, and begins to wonder if her friend is looking to settle down and start a family. The conversation takes a brief pause as Joo-hyuk's friend excuses himself to step away for a moment. Joo-hyuk turns his attention toward Dajong and asks with a gentle tone if everything has been going well for her lately. Dajong offers a stuttering reply and apologizes for her sudden disappearance during their last encounter. Joo-hyuk is incredibly understanding and assures her that it is perfectly fine because she likely had a very good reason for leaving. Yoonji quickly jumps back into the conversation by mentioning that Joo-hyuk previously said he went on a blind outing. Da-jong waits in a state of nervous dread while wondering what her friend is going to say next. Yoonji points a finger and asks directly if the two of them are currently going out, sending Da-jong into a fit of stuttering outrage. Joo-hyuk offers a calm and measured response by stating that they are not together yet. Seeing an opening, Yoonji brushes her hair behind her ear and leans in with a sussy smile to ask Joo-hyuk what he thinks about her instead. Da-jong can only stare at her friend in a state of total shock. Da-jong watches with a mix of confusion and irritation as Joo-hyuk pauses to consider the unexpected proposal. The handsome medical student eventually raises his hands in a polite but firm gesture, offering a sincere apology to Yoonji while clearly turning down her sudden advances. Da-jong watches him closely as he explains that he appreciates the compliment from such an attractive person, but his heart is actually already set on someone else. The air remains quiet as Joo-hyuk turns his full attention back toward Da-jong, looking her in the eye with a gentle smile. He thanks her for even agreeing to come out and meet him tonight, eventually dropping a total bombshell by admitting that he truly likes her. Da-jong is left in a state of total mental overload, her face flushing a deep shade of red as she struggles to process the direct confession from the high-quality partner. Even Yoonji is caught off guard by the sincerity of his words, letting out a soft sound of surprise as she realizes her little test didn't go exactly as planned. The awkward silence is eventually broken by the rhythmic sound of footsteps as Joo-hyuk's friend Johan returns to the table. He looks around at the quiet group and wonders if he actually missed something important while he was away, asking if everyone was talking behind his back. Seeing a new opportunity, Yoonji immediately shifts her strategy and lets out a heavy, dramatic sigh. She begins to sniffle and rub her eyes with a look of pure sadness, claiming that she is feeling a little lonely and needs someone to comfort her. She turns her sparkling gaze toward Johan and suggests that she would really like it if the two of them could spend some time together. Johan is completely thrilled by the sudden attention and immediately agrees to take her somewhere else, wondering what could have made such a beautiful girl so upset. He grabs her hand with a look of resolve and tells Joo-hyuk that he doesn't mind if they head out early. Yoonji stands up with a satisfied slip of her dress, waving a cheerful goodbye to the group as she prepares to make her exit with her new partner. As they walk away, Yoonji steals one last glance over her shoulder and offers Da-jong a sussy wink, leaving her friend to wonder what her true intentions were all along. Da-jong is left sitting alone with Joo-hyuk, feeling a mix of embarrassment and lingering shock as she reflects on the chaotic turn the evening has taken. Joo-hyuk eventually breaks the silence by asking if she is ready to get going as well, offering a polite and considerate gaze. Da-jong offers a stuttering and blushing agreement, following him out of the wine bar while her mind races with thoughts about his unexpected confession. The scene eventually shifts to the bright exterior of the convenience store where the glass door rings with a sharp chime. Jinsu steps out onto the sidewalk while offering a final, energetic greeting to his boss, who warns him not to be late for his next shift. Our dumb boy offers a nervous apology and promises to see him tomorrow, feeling a massive sense of relief as he realizes his workday is finally over. As he walks along the quiet street under the night sky, Jinsu reflects on how lucky he is that nothing bad happened during his narrow escape earlier. His phone suddenly vibrates in his pocket with an insistent beep, and his eyes light up with a sense of anticipation as he sees a new message arriving from his favorite coworker Yeseul. The notification on Jinsu's screen reveals a worried message from Yeseul, who is anxious to know if he finished work safely and whether the manager discovered their dumb secret. Jinsu offers a reassuring smile while his thumbs dance across the screen, explaining that he told the boss he was simply taking over her shift because she wasn't feeling well. He tells her that everything is fine and encourages her to just stick to the story that she was sick when she goes in tomorrow. As he walks through the quiet streets, Jinsu reflects on how he managed to dodge a bullet with the manager, even if he had to endure a small scolding along the way. His peaceful walk is quickly interrupted by a flurry of incoming messages from his cardio partner. Yeseul's texts become increasingly bold as she asks when they can have another cardio session. Jinsu stares at the screen with a mix of disbelief and exhaustion, feeling like he is talking to a parrot that only knows one single word. He lets out a weary sigh, while realizing that at this rate, the two of them really are starting to feel like nothing more than specialized cardio partners. Back at the apartment, Jin-soo tries to clear his head by focusing on some mundane household chores. He stands before the laundry basket and begins the process of hanging up the damp clothes, noting to himself that Da-jong is quite late, returning home tonight. His productive mood takes a sudden and sussy turn when his eyes land on a pair of sussy laundry items. He finds himself staring in a daze of total fixation, feeling a sudden and familiar surge of cardio energy. Jin-soo frantically shakes his head to clear the sussy thoughts, desperately trying to remind himself that he needs to stay focused on his work. However, the view of the gym cloth triggers a vivid and sussy memory of a previous cardio session at the convenience store. He recalls the atmosphere in the staff room when Yeseul provided him with some very dedicated cardio relief while the world buzzed around them. He tries to rationalize his current state by telling himself that there is absolutely nothing weird about getting a little worked up under the circumstances. He eventually looks back at the cloth and admits that his roommate has essentially become the primary source of his motivation. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a quiet neighborhood street where Da-jong is walking home while finishing a phone call with Ju-yuk. She confirms that she is almost back at her place and offers a warm goodbye before hanging up the device. As the call ends, a soft and genuine smile crosses her face as she reflects on how she has never felt quite this way before. She admits to herself that something feels different about her connection with the med student, feeling a lingering sense of warmth deep inside. Her peaceful moment is shattered by a sudden vibration in her hand as a new message arrives from her friend. Da-jeong's expression quickly shifts to one of total confusion as she opens a provocative photo sent by Yoonji. The image shows her friend celebrating a successful catch in a very sussy state, leading Da-jong to wonder what on earth that girl is actually up to now. She lets out a frustrated sigh while thinking about how Yoonji was clearly planning to spend the day with someone else anyway. Da-jong eventually reaches the apartment and lets out a huff of annoyance while slamming the door shut. She loudly announces her return to the empty room, while privately grumbling about how she never got to find out who was using her personal gear earlier because of her friend's interference. She pauses as she looks around the quiet living space, noticing the laundry rack is still standing in the middle of the room. She wonders aloud if her servant was actually in the middle of hanging the laundry and begins to question where that loser could have gone. She calls out Jin-soo's name with an impatient tone as she walks further into the room, still holding her jacket. The quiet of the apartment is eventually broken by the sound of a heavy creak as Da-jong approaches the bathroom. She pushes the door open to see if he is hiding inside, only to be met with a sight that sends a shockwave through the room. Jin-soo is caught in a state of total, wide-eyed panic as he sits there in the middle of doing self-cardio training. He thinks back to the time he was using a power drill to fix the bathroom door, remembering how Da-jong had questioned what he was doing in there. In his current state of panic, he realizes that he completely forgot to fix the lock on the door back then, a mistake that has now come back to haunt him in the worst way possible. He lets out a frantic yelp and fumbles, but it is far too late to hide the sussy act. Da-jong begins to tremble with a volcanic rage, her face flushing as she stares at her roommate. She demands to know if she didn't specifically tell him not to do self-cardio sessions, like a total disgrace while living under her roof. She looms over him and asks if he has forgotten the precarious situation he is currently in, but Jin-soo sees a sudden spark of opportunity in the chaos. He watches as she practically roars with fire, claiming that he essentially belongs to her until his massive debt of 10 million won is settled. Jin-soo decides that this is his chance to stand his ground and show her exactly who is the boss in this apartment for once. A sudden vibration from his phone sends a wave of cold sweat down his back as he wonders what will happen if she catches a glimpse of the screen. He is haunted by the fear of what she might do if she finds out the truth, and his heart nearly stops when he looks down at the device in his hand. The screen reveals a photo of Da-jong and her friend, the very image he was watching, and thinking that he will teach both of them cardio. He reflects on how he likely won't die a pretty death if she discovers he was using her likeness for such sussy activities. Da-jong glares at him with an intense suspicion and demands to know exactly what he was looking at on his phone. Jin-soo puts on a shaky smile and tries to lie by claiming it was just some regular cardio content, but Da-jong is not buying the excuse at all. She reaches out a hand and orders him to hand over the device, suspecting that he might be seeing another girl behind her back. The two of them fall into a desperate scuffle over the phone, with Da-jong grabbing his arm and wondering aloud if she is actually living with some kind of psycho disgrace. She pins him against the wall with a determined expression, her eyes locked on the phone as she tries to snatch it away. Jinsu trembles in her grasp while she reaches out once again, eventually delivering a sharp tip to the corner of the device. The phone flings through the air in a sudden blur of motion, leaving both of them in a state of absolute shock as they watch it fall. They look on with wide eyes and open mouths as the device tumbles toward the hard floor. The phone hits the tiles with a heavy clack, coming to rest with the screen facing upward for both of them to see. Jinsu lets out a terrified scream as he realizes the damning photo is still clearly visible on the display. He dives for the phone in a frantic blur, eventually picking it up and noticing a series of jagged cracks running across the glass. He looks up at Dajong with tears in his eyes and cries out that she has officially broken his screen. Jinsu holds up the broken device and demands to know what she plans to do about the damage she caused. He decides to lean into the frustration and use the broken phone as leverage in their argument, hoping to distract her from his own sussy behavior. Dajong offers a soft sound of regret and admits she didn't mean to break it, but she quickly shakes her head to regain her composure. She tells herself that if she lets him win this argument, her authority over him will be gone forever. She scoffs and claims the screen is only worth about 100,000 won, but Jinsu fires back that the money is not the problem here. Dajong eventually loses her cool and shouts that the real problem is that he broke his promise by training himself, even punctuating her rage with a sharp gesture toward him. Jinsu lets out a hiss of his own and suggests that in that case, she should pay him back for every single service he has provided up until now. He stands his ground and boldly demands payment for the sheer amount of time she has taken cardio training from him. She asks if he has truly lost his mind, but Jinsu counters by pointing out that she was obviously not the only one who enjoyed their previous cardio sessions. The tension in the room builds like a loaded cannon ready to fire, with both of them practically vibrating from the intensity of the moment. They stand face to face with blushing faces and a shared sense of competitive fire. Jinsu claims that he didn't actually enjoy their training sessions that much, but Dajong fires back that she only used him as a substitute because she didn't have other trainers available. Driven by a mix of pride and frustration, Jinsu suggests that they should find out once and for all who truly enjoyed cardio training more. Then they started a cardio session.